The Indianapolis Colts, Buffalo leading the AFC East at 9-3. They can clinch a playoff berth today. They're one game in front of New England. Indianapolis battling for their playoff lives. For the Bills, it will be Todd Collins starting for the injured Jim Kelly at quarterback. It is only his fourth NFL start, while the Colts will go with Paul Justin. For the injury hit Jim Harbaugh, Justin making only his second start in the NFL. That's the setting for this matchup of two teams that have been touched by assorted injuries. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert along with Sam Weish. And as we reported earlier on the pregame, Buffalo missing 4 of its key players, including Jim Kelly, out with a hamstring injury. And Jim will be listed as the emergency, the third quarterback, but also sidelined along with Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Steve Tasker, and Bryce Popp. Of most significance, though, will be the play of the second-year man out of Michigan, starting at quarterback for the Bills, Todd Collins.
And with that, we'll see a glimpse of the future and a full look at it. I'm sure we'll see everything the Bills have, including the no-huddle. Smart quarterback, quick decisions. Marv Levy thinks he's a poised player.
And the Colts, a club that opened up at 4-0. Since then, they have dropped 6 of their last 8, and Sam, they have been just decimated by injuries.
Well, they have, but the key today is Marshall Faulk. He's got to have a good day. He's playing with one of those injuries, a bad toe, and he's playing behind an offensive line that should not stack up against the Buffalo Bills defensive line. But somehow he's got to have one of his best days.
All right, so coming up, it is the Colts and the Bills, and that is Captain Comeback. Jim Harbaugh hobbled by a knee injury, but he is in uniform and is listed as the emergency quarterback for the Colts. Back at the Dome in a moment.
At the Principal Financial Group, you will find the strength of our...
Back at Indianapolis, we're getting ready for the kickoff. The Buffalo Bills and the Indianapolis Colts. 71-year-old Marv Levy will be 72 next August. Seems to be greater appreciation for Marv and what he has accomplished. Last season, an extraordinary year for him. Made it back from prostate cancer, and the Bills surprised by taking their 6th division title in 8 years, and today they come in at 9-3, 4 straight wins, coming off the convincing victory over the Jets last week. The Bills won the toss, and they are receiving the kickoff from Chris Gardocki, and the rookie Eric Moulds running it out. A 25-yard kick return by Moulds. This is Todd Collins stepping on. Last season as a rookie, appeared in 7 games, started once. He has Derek Holmes for the injured Thurman Thomas. Moulds, Reed, and Early are the receivers, along with the tight end Johnson. The offensive line with John Fina making his return. A return last week, sat out with turf toe. Excellent offensive line, Brown, Hull, Ostrowski, and Parker, as the Bills start out from the 23-yard line. And here is the screen for Holmes. Picked up a blocker and picks up yardage across the 40-yard line. Taken down by the strong safety, Ray McElroy. And the Bills get right to it. That is a 20-yard pickup, and as you mentioned, Sam, they go right to the no-huddle.
I don't think they're afraid of this at all with Todd Collins at quarterback. He has played the no-huddle, did last week a good bit. This is nothing new to him, and a good start.
First down at the 43-yard line, and here's Holmes. Derek Holmes, in his second year out of Portland State, a 7th-round pick last season. A terrific pickup by the Bills. A check of the Colts up front, the one change, and it's a key one. Steve Martin, the rookie from Missouri, playing for the injured Tony Siragusa. That's a major loss. Harrod is back, as you see the linebackers. Holmes is stopped by one of those linebackers, Quentin Coriat. So Jeff Harrod, who missed the last 2 games due to a dislocated elbow, and he has Coriat and Grant on the left and right side.
Really, both of those linebackers were in on that, along with Tony Bennett. And without Siragusa, the linebackers have to play a bigger part in stopping that run.
It is a 3rd down and 4. And Collins able to complete to Quinn Early, and he has a first down. Damon Watts on the stop. Back to the Indianapolis defensive alignment. And the linebackers are back in their normal position for the first time in many weeks. Diedrich Mathis, a rookie from the University of Houston, a second-round draft pick, playing for the injured Ray Buchanan, and Ray McElroy for the injured David Tate. First down at the 43. Collins to the sideline, intended for the tight end, Lonnie Johnson.
The ball is right on target, even though he's under pressure. That's the first time he's thrown the ball now when he's got somebody right in his face when he lets it go. Watch coming from the backside over here. You're going to see people right in his face. He's looking to the left. It's a timed throw. Takes that fifth plant, sets, and throws. Right in his face is Steve Martin, replacing Saragusa.
It is a second down and 10. Off the draw, Holmes trying to pick his way and gang tackle. Good job by the Colts, led by the right defensive end, Tony Bennett, who has made it back from a sprained knee injury.
And Tony Bennett that time had what is called contained. That means that he can't let anybody outside of him up here at the top of the screen. They ran the draw play because there was pressure on the previous one. But look at Bennett right here. He can't go outside, waits for him, makes the tackle.
Seventh play of the drive coming up. A third and 10 at the Indianapolis 43. Look out, off the blitz, Collins over to release, and it's intercepted. The diving interception by Damon Watts. And Watts with the return across the 30-yard line. Oh, they were coming at Collins, and he thought he was able to fire it downfield, but obviously not far enough.
Well, you know, when you got somebody in your face like that, there was nobody blocked on the right side. He needed a hot receiver. A quick receiver is a short throw, not a long one. You can see the pressure coming from the right side. There's no time for Todd Collins to hold on to the ball. He just throws it deep. Andre Reed right here gears down a little bit. Damon Watts doesn't. Damon Watts on the very first play was very fired up, ripping the ball away from his tackle. This is going to be one of those ball games where these kind of plays have to make a difference.
And there is Todd Collins, who was just picked off for the third time this season. The Colts, not a team that forces many turnovers. In fact, that only their 8th interception of the season. Only New Orleans has fewer. And the Colts take over from their 32-yard line. It's Falk on a slant. Marshall Falk stopped by Chris Spielman. Trying to look at the Indianapolis offensive alignment. Paul Justin, the second-year man from Arizona State. At quarterback, Marshall Falk, who has been very disappointing, bothered by that dislocated toe. Cliff Gross, first-year player from Texas A&M, is playing for Zach Crockett, and that has also been a factor. They're just not getting the blocking, and the offensive line has not played well. And there's some changes today. Jason Matthews moves from the right to the left side. Good hole, though, for Falk. As I say, the offensive line has not played well. They look very sharp right there. Rogers and Scholes make the stop. It is a 10-yard advance and a first down for the Colts. Well, you can't get much stronger than this trio. Phil Hansen, Ted Washington, and Bruce Smith. Smith with 11.5 sacks. David White playing for the injured Bryce Pop. Spielman, Maddox, and Rogers, the other linebackers. And the one change in the secondary for the Bills in recent weeks, Matt Stevens, the rookie from Appalachian State, playing for the injured Henry Jones. A 1st and 10 at the 46-yard line. The tight end Pollard in motion. And again, it is Falk tried to get to the outside and picked up short yardage. Met by Mark Maddox, the inside linebacker.
You know, a lot of things going against Marshall Falk. The turf toe, playing on AstroTurf a lot as he does playing in the dome here, as well as the offensive line, the injuries and the shifting around, but also losing Roosevelt Potts early in the year. And then, of course, Zach Crockett going out to an injury. You can see that as he started out in 94, 4.1 is a good average per carry. At 1,200, 1,300 yards is a lot, but down to 2.7 per carry coming into today.
Yes, over those first 2 years, he had established himself as one of the premier running backs in the league, but it's been a nightmare this season. A 2nd and 8, Justin able to elude the blitz. Falk running well. Marshall Falk continues to run well here in this opening quarter. Phil Hansen able to make the stop. 12-yard pickup off the pass, but wait a moment. Penalty marker is down.
And they're going to call roughing the passer on this one. Watch Marshall Faulk right here. He's going to block to his left. He's only going to brush, though. The
unnecessary roughness on number 51, roughing the passer, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Roughing the passer will add 15 yards on the very end of that. Now, that's just a screen play. Marshall Faulk right here, you're going to see Marshall brush the receiver, and then he comes out as the rusher, and then he becomes a receiver. You can't hit that quarterback. They're protecting him. Every week that we watch a football game, Marv, I think they're protecting the quarterback more and more.
David White, number 51, called on the penalty, and it is a big gainer for the Colts. They now have a first down at the Buffalo 25-yard line. Lamont Warren in the backfield and gets the handoff and slashes his way inside the 20, tripped up by Mark Maddox.
And the Colts are doing a good job of alternating their personnel. Cliff Gross is coming back into the lineup now along with Marshall Faulk. On the play before, they had two tight ends in the game with Lamont Warren in the backfield. This causes defensive problems for the Buffalo Bills because they're not looking at the same formation. Defensive coordinator Wade Phillips signals it in the plays, but he can't do it until he sees the personnel on the field.
6-yard pickup for Lamont Warren. And a 2nd and 4. Good drive here by the Colts. They're at the Bills' 19-yard line. Off the pick. It is Faulk. Got to cut his way. A short pickup for Marshall Faulk. Sam Rogers and David White involved on that tackle. The Colts have certainly had their share of problems inside the red zone, inside the 20-yard line, particularly the last 6 games.
Those are not good numbers in terms of touchdowns. You know, points are one thing, but touchdowns make the difference in wins and losses. And Harbaugh is going to be in this ball game mentally. He won't be in it physically unless there's a dire emergency. But I'll bet you when Justin comes off, Harbaugh's the first guy he talks to.
On a 3rd down and 2 at the 17-yard line. It's Aaron Bailey in motion. And a penalty flag is thrown.
A little too much time at the line of scrimmage, and after a long play, sometimes the quarterback loses track of that 40
Delay
seconds.
of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Well, the call from the referee, Jerry Markbright, and they will push it back. The Indianapolis Colts last Sunday lost to New England 27-13, dealing a major blow to the Colts' postseason hopes, and they were really ripped up on the ground. Curtis Martin running for 141 yards. It's a team that has lost 6 of their last 8 games. They have scored only 6 points on opening drives, as you see, tied for worst in the league. And now some confusion after the delay of game. Paul Justin is forced to take a timeout. You hear the reaction from the crowd. 7:38 to go. First quarter, no score. We'll be back in a moment. Head coach Lindy Infante, originally, Sam, an 11th round draft pick of the Buffalo Bills in the old AFL back in 1983. 1963, I should say. He wishes 1983. Out of the University of Florida, he was a defensive back and also a running back, and was also drafted by the Browns. Now here's Justin, able to hit Faulk, and Faulk picks up the first down and some more. Tackled by the free safety, Kurt Scholes.
And after that play was over, Paul Justin came over and kind of gave a friendly shove to Bruce Smith, who is right on him. Watch coming from this side over here. You're going to see Bruce Smith, number 78, set up. He looks to his left. Good job there to take everybody away from where he's going with the ball. Bruce Smith lets up, as a big-time pro will do. But Paul Justin knows that he's got to beat that caliber of player in order to continue a drive like this. This is an important, there it is right there. It's important for him to feel comfortable in the field. That's a sign of it.
On a pickup of 10 and a 1st and 10 down at the 12-yard line. 8th play of the drive. This is Warren. Cut right and then left, getting inside the 10, and met by the combination of Spielman and Maddox.
And again, the Colts are alternating their personnel. That gives Wade Phillips and Marv Levy a little bit of a decision to make rather than going with what their normal calls might be in the red zone. If they've got 2 tight ends, it causes one defensive problem. If they've got 2 running backs and 1 tight end, it's another defensive problem. But with 59 yards already on the on this drive, the Colts have started the way they wanted to.
And a drive that was set up by the interception by the left corner, Damon Watts. 2nd down and 7. And here's Warren with acceleration, banging his way inside the 5-yard line.
You know, Lamont Warren and Marshall Faulk are using that acceleration. They have to. They've got to get up into that line quickly against this 3-4 defense of the Buffalo Bills. The nice thing is when Marshall Faulk is running, he doesn't look like he's favoring a toe. And, of course, Lamont Warren has no reason to. He just loves getting a chance to play behind Marshall Faulk.
Lamont Warren, his 3rd season out of Colorado. He has been primarily a backup running back and kick return man, a native of Indianapolis. 3rd and 2 down at the 4-yard line. 5.5 to go in the first quarter. We have no score. And it is Warren. And looks like he picked it up. Maddox and Scholes try to stack him up, keeping him away from the marker. It is a 1st down for the Colts. It'll be 1st and goal. And it looks like Warren is shaken up.
They're moving Bruce Smith around. He's not lining up at the defensive right end opposite Matthews. Jason Matthews playing left tackle tonight as he did this afternoon, as he did last week. They don't want to have him game plan. They want to force the Colts to find him on every snap.
I'm Tiger Woods. I'm Tiger Woods. I'm Tiger Woods.
The Colts locker room looked to be a knee off that last run. And we'll pass on a report as soon as it comes across. 11th play of the drive. The Colts now have a 1st and goal just outside the 1-yard line. And it's Faulk. No indication. We'll have to see where they spot it. The Colts feel that he got the ball across the plane of the goal line.
Flip Gross was the lead blocker. Had 2 backs in the backfield and 3 tight ends that time. Goal line offense.
And it is apparently just shy of the goal line.
Just a straight lead block, lead play. All teams have this around the goal line. This is muscle against muscle. And here, the percentage is take the shortest route to that goal line. You only have to make 1 yard.
And the Colts continue to do it on the ground against this excellent run defense. And here is the leaping attempt. Touchdown! Marshall Faulk able to take it home for his 5th touchdown of the season.
You know, one of the toughest things to do is to jump if you've got a bad foot or an arch or a toe. I'm sure he leads off of the good one, but as you see him, he is a good 3 yards deep. All he has to do is cross that white line. He does it cleanly.
12 plays, 68 yards. And the Colts have the football 7 minutes and 42 seconds. It began with the interception by Damon Watts. Terry Blanchard able to add the extra point. Here's another look at Marshall Faulk. Very impressive on this opening drive.
When was the last time you played in the rain? Let your hair grow.
Drive by the Indianapolis Colts. 7 minutes and 42 seconds. Capped off by the 1-yard run by Marshall Faulk.
A nice mix of not only Marshall Faulk running the ball, but Lamont Warren, who limped off a little bit at the very end. 4-0 start for the Colts. And now it looks like they're, well, it's not mathematically out of the question, but they'd have to have a lot of good things happen for them to make the playoffs now.
You see the group of teams that have started at 4-0 and failed to make the playoffs.
Every coach, though, keeps that hope alive. You can't send a team out on the field without them believing there's a chance that that kind of good thing can happen, that the playoffs are still possible.
They have dropped 6 of their last 8 games. The only wins in that stretch over the Jets and Baltimore. And the kick taken by Russell Copeland. Able to break a tackle and works across the 25-yard line. Elijah Alexander on the stop, 22-yard advance. Now let's check in with Greg Gumbel for this update.
All right, Marv, in Jacksonville, field goal attempt by Doug Pelfrey. Clyde Simmons with the block. Mickey Washington picks it up and takes it 63 yards for the touchdown. He then came back to intercept a Bengals pass. They converted a field goal off of that. Jacksonville leading Cincinnati 10-0 in the first, Marv.
All right, Greg, 4 minutes, 7 seconds to go in this first quarter. And Collins in trouble, can't find anyone, and he fumbles. Looked like Kent Hull was able to cover it up. Todd Collins off to a very difficult start.
That was a very complicated play. He actually had motion coming inside that time with Eric Moles, and then they faked the ball off the left side, rolls back to his right side, hoping that Eric Moles would then pop into the flat. You see Moles right here is going to come out into the flat. Nothing there. Good defense by the Colts, and then from behind, never giving up on this particular play is how you knock the ball loose, and that was Bernard Whittington.
Second down and 7, and Holmes is stopped. I tell you, this is a sparked up Indianapolis Colts team here in the first quarter.
We thought we'd see an entirely different kind of ball game. This is a team, it's Buffalo, that has a string of wins going. The Colts have a string of injuries going. They all had to play over their heads, and they're doing it.
And, of course, Buffalo also hit by a key injury. Jim Kelly out along with Thurman Thomas. Steve Tasker on the defensive end, Bryce Pop. It's a 3rd and 8. Collins again facing the pressure. The ball was knocked out of his hand, and it's covered up by Steve Martin. The Colts have recovered. Steve Martin with the recovery after Collins was stripped.
Todd Collins makes a very bad mistake right here. Look at him. He assumes that the play is going to be called a forward pass when Richard Dent knocked that ball loose from him. You don't assume anything. You recover the ball, let the official make the call later. He's pulling that ball back in there, but you see Collins just standing there watching it happen. Ball recovered. At the very end of that play by the Colts, everybody hustling for the Colts. Martin making the big play. Steve Martin doing a good job for Syracuse so far.
And the Colts take over 1st and 10 at the Buffalo 24-yard line. Second forced turnover by Indianapolis, a team that has not done well in that department. Marshall Faulk weaving his way inside the 20-yard line. The free safety, Kurt Scholes, making the tackle.
Boy, Marshall Faulk is showing no signs of that foot bothering him. The Colts are doing a good job of making sure Paul Justin doesn't have a tough play that he has to make. Keep him out of the pressure of this for a while. And all along, that offensive line of the Colts are creating a hole to give Marshall Faulk that opening.
Marshall Faulk in his 3rd NFL season out of San Diego State. He says he doesn't have his usual burst or acceleration because of the dislocated toe, but that has not been the case today. That's Faulk again with a pretty good burst getting inside the 15-yard line. Met by Chris Spielman. Now, Chris Spielman is a guy that you have known since, he was 17 years of age. He was telling us last night of your attempt to recruit him when you were head coach at Indiana University. There's Chris. He said you pulled out your repertoire of magic tricks. It seemed to work real well for you.
It really did. He went right to Ohio State. But I did. I gave it my best shot. I only knew 3 or 4 tricks, and I did them over and over and over.
Always entertaining. He did say, though, his mom liked you.
Well, it's always good to have somebody in the family who liked it.
It's 3rd and a yard. Here's Faulk. And he stopped back behind the line. David White and Kurt Scholes combined to make the stop. It is a 4th down and about 2, and here comes the field goal unit. And the combination of Cary Blanchard and Chris Kardocki just having sensational seasons, career years for both. Blanchard leading the NFL with 29 field goals, 29 of 31. Kardocki superb as a punter. He's the holder. And he'll put it down for this 33-yard attempt. No good.
And that's the way it is. About the time you start talking about how accurate a player is and what a great year. Over 90% of his kicks have gone straight through the middle, including 4 for 4 from 50 yards or longer. Let's watch and see if there's anything. The hold is good. The kick is smooth. He just misses this one. Hands on the hips, and you can read the body language.
And the 2 previous misses had hit the uprights. Second in the AFC with 103 points, and that is a rare miss for Kerry Blanchard. And that's his shortest miss of the season. And 2 of the 3 have come against the Buffalo Bills. 33 seconds to go in this opening quarter. The Colts with a 7-0 lead on the Bills. And the Bills take over. Derek Holmes trying to get outside and took a pretty good pop from the free safety Jason Belser. Jason Belser, the only defensive player on the Colts to start every game.
On the defense, you know, last week on the defensive side of the ball, they only had 3 players that were playing their regular position. Tony Bennett, Tony McCoy, and Jason Belser. Everybody else was either out or shuffled around to cover for the other injuries.
It has been a very fast-moving first quarter. The Colts in command throughout. A reverse play. Eric Moulds. Nice move by Moulds. Tried to get to the outside, but could not. Cut off by Ray McElroy. Eric Moulds, first-round draft pick out of Mississippi State. Bills have actually taken their time working him into the passing game. He's had some difficulty reading coverages. That time went with the reverse, and that is the end of the first. The Colts 7 and the Bills nothing.
Jesse, you're next.
I'm all yours.
Save it for the stage, Romeo.
Carol always gives it to me straight. Like when she told me about my...
I told him about Head & Shoulders. Regular shampoos just rinse flakes away so they could come back. Head & Shoulders helps prevent flakes from even forming.
Indianapolis, it's the Colts 7 and the Bills nothing. A rough start for Todd Collins playing for the injured Jim Kelly. The Colts dominating the play in the first quarter, had the football most of the way. There's Collins out of Walpole, Massachusetts. His 4th NFL start, 2nd-round draft pick a year ago. Jim Kelly, though, is the emergency quarterback. He's out with that pulled hamstring. The number 2 man is Alex Van Pelt.
Colts line up in the huddle with 4 wide receivers and the last-minute substitution to 3 tight ends.
It's a 3rd down and 1. And Todd Collins looking to pick it up. Jeff Harrod on the tackle.
You've seen both sides have taken a different attack with their quarterbacks. The Colts have taken all the pressure off of their guy, Justin, making sure that everything is simple. A lot of running plays, a lot of basic plays. And on the other side, Todd Collins looks like he's running the full complement of the Buffalo Bills offense. No huddle, 5 wide receivers, 3 tight ends. They're asking him to do everything. And he's had a rough day doing it. Justin has had a better day.
It is a 1st down for the Bills. For the Bills, it's their first of 3 straight games on the road. Collins dumps it off to Holmes. And Holmes able to scramble his way out across the 35-yard line. Derek Holmes, who last year accounted for better than 1,700 total yards, the best by a Bills rookie since Joe Cribbs, a magnificent rookie season.
This Holmes is not the primary receiver. You see, Collins is looking downfield. He lays it off as an outlet. Not much.
And it's Holmes again, this time straight up the middle. Oh, what balance by Holmes, who took a couple of shots on the way and then was brought down by McElroy, but he picked up the 1st down.
You know, even without Thurman Thomas on the field, with Derek Holmes on one side, Marshall Faulk on the other side, we're seeing some explosion out of running backs. Guys that hit the line and then they accelerate after you think they're already running full speed.
1st down at the 45-yard line. That's Reed in motion. And it's Reed on a reverse. Tried a head fake, but it did not work. He stopped at the line. Eugene Daniel, who is back in the starting lineup for Derek Frazier at right corner, was able to make the stop. That's the second reverse over the last 4 plays by the Bills.
And really, when the corner is coming up, and you'll see as the reverse starts to happen right here, the corner has to be contained at the very end of it right here. He stays home. The linebacker stays home. There's no place to go. You don't run the reverse unless you've got a lot of flow by the defense. They're chasing, and therefore you counter it with a reverse.
Moles is to the right. And Bender in the backfield. Collins looking to swing it out to Bender. And a flag is thrown.
See, Jerry McBride is telling him you threw it straight into the ground, even though he was in the direction of a receiver.
Intentional grounding, number 15.
Marv, I don't understand this. The effort over and over, the stress, they make such a big point of protecting the quarterback. Here's how the quarterback protects himself. Gets rid of the ball in the direction of a receiver. The point is, though, that the ball must carry to the line of scrimmage or beyond. That's what Jerry McBride is saying. Jerry McBride is absolutely right. My bone of contention is that I think the rule needs to be loosened for that.
It's the spot of the foul being more than 10 yards. Put it down. Over.
See, when you mark the ball off from the point of the foul, it becomes more than a 10-yard foul. It becomes 14, 15 yards because it's that far behind the line of scrimmage.
And the only receiver in the area, Kerry Bender, who was just elevated from the practice squad, a first-year player out of Coe College, signed as a free agent last season, making his NFL debut today. There's Bender. And he was in the backfield for that play. It is a 3rd and 21 at the 34-yard line. And Collins this time able to complete to Quinn Early, a sideline catch. He was in bounds, but he's well short of a first down. Covered by Daniel and Burrows, and a 4th down play coming up.
And on the way out, Collins wants another explanation from Jerry McBride. This is a smart play. Now, somebody sitting at home might say, gee, they needed all that yards. They only got a part of it. That is added on to the punt. You just add on about 12 yards to whatever this punt is going to be right now. Get yourself out of trouble. Don't test them downfield. They're looking for the long throw.
And that is Brian Stabline back, awaiting the punt from Chris Moore, his first activity of the day, coming off a strong game last week against the Jets, but this a short one, and then takes a very good hop. But apparently it did bounce out of bounds, so they will spot it. 7-0, the Colts over the Bills. Only a 26-yard punt by Moore.
Enjoy the ride. By Coors Light, proud partner of the John Wayne Cancer Institute and their search for a cure. By the Citizen Watch Company. Citizen is how the world tells time. And by Wendy's Smoky Cheeseburger with rich, smoky flavor in every bite.
Back in Indianapolis, Marv Albert with Sam Weiss. First 2 possessions for the Colts. And they held on to that football for a long time. The first one resulting in a 1-yard TD plunge by Marshall Faulk. And the second, a missed 33-yard field goal by Kerry Blanchard. Here's Justin firing downfield for Harrison. Covered by Boris. Marvin Harrison, the rookie from Syracuse, in a foot race with the left corner, Jeff Burris. And we're ready for another update. Here's Greg Gumbel back in New York.
All right, Marv, the Pittsburgh Steelers fell behind early, but watch Mike Tomczak from 30 yards out, Andre Hastings, and Hastings turns this into a touchdown. Finds the end zone, put the extra point on the board, and then the Steelers add a field goal. It's 10-7 Pittsburgh over the Ravens, Marv.
Thank you, Greg. A 2nd down and 10 as we resume here. Off the play fake, Justin able to complete on the out with Harrison. And Harrison lunging forward at the marker. Let's see where they spotted. That's his first catch of the day, taken down by Smith and Boris. It is just shy of a first down.
And Phil Hansen is down on the field right there. The Colts, going into this drive, had rushed the ball every time on first down. 6 rushes, no passes. First down this time, they fake the run, throw the ball deep, incomplete, come back with another fake on this one. But Phil Hansen rushing from the defensive left side, a clean cut block. Now, a cut block is not a chop block. It's not an illegal block. It's just hitting low. But you're always vulnerable when you cut. You're going down below the waist.
To Phil Hansen, it's been another strong season in his 6th year out of North Dakota State. We'll take a break.
Let's go, guys.
Now that Sprint is the official telecommunications provider for
To the Buffalo sideline. And, of course, a major loss and replaced by Sean Moran, the rookie from Colorado State. The Bills defensively are without Bryce Popp, who was clearly the best free agent pickup last year, leading the NFL with 17.5 sacks. And there is Sean Moran, a 4th-round draft choice out of Colorado State. It's a 3rd down and 1, and Justin on the sneak does pick up the 1st down.
Just inches to go. The quarterback sneak is the play. The Buffalo Bills now are really dipping in. We're talking to Bruce Smith. He felt like this is the best defense he's played on because of the complement of players, but the complement is starting to wither a little bit here. Coming into the game, it was thin, but now the injuries are piling up. Wade Phillips has done a tremendous job here.
Defensive coordinator Wade Phillips. Bruce Smith telling us last night that collectively he feels it's the best defensive unit that he's ever been a part of, and he says he's having the most fun he's ever had in the NFL. 1st and 10, and it is incomplete. Matt Stevens on the coverage. Pass intended for the tight end, Ken Gilger. Matt Stevens playing for the injured Henry Jones and has done a very fine job.
And Bruce Smith is going to get a little lecture here at the very end of the play right here, coming from this side. Quarterback drops back. Now watch Smith right there at the very end. You see him kind of come down low. He actually hits above the waist, but he slides down below. The referees in the league have obviously been given a message to protect the low hits. That one wasn't a low hit, but he wanted to make sure that Bruce understood it was close.
2nd and 10 from the 40. He's dropped by Justin. He went for the screen. Falk in the open field. And Falk able to run it back to the 47-yard line. Stopped by Chris Spielman. And Bruce Smith now shaken up. And he's motioning for some help.
Bruce Smith was just let go. You're supposed to block for an instant and then let people in there. But if I was Paul Justin, I'd say, would you mind letting somebody else in besides number 78? But right here at the very end, clean hit. He doesn't go for the head. He doesn't hit him low. Just pulls him on down. It looks like that maybe Justin came down on that thigh or that groin area right there. And you don't know whether you're hurt badly for about 3 or 4 minutes after an injury like that.
Well, the Buffalo Bills have to be saying, what is going on? First, Hansen goes out. Now Smith. And Sean Price has replaced Smith. It will be a 3rd down and 2, but first a timeout is taken by the Colts. That's their 2nd timeout. 10-17 left. First half.
You're going to see him coming up. The play's over. He starts to gear down, and the Indianapolis Colts haven't slowed down. Here, Smith is coming in. He tries to slow down. I think that you're seeing players play at different speeds, and you're seeing more injuries. The reason they play at different speeds, they're worried about getting fined.
All right, on the 3rd and 2, Justin with another completion, hooking up with Sean Dawkins, who's tackled by Thomas Smith. So Paul Justin with a good start. He's 5 of 7. 3 of those completions to Falk, 1 to Harrison, and now 1 to Dawkins. Paul Justin making only a 2nd NFL start, his 10th career game, out of Schaumburg, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago. Originally a 7th-round pick of the Bears, was in their practice, in their camp, played a bit on their practice squad, then waived and signed with the Colts as a free agent. Also played some World League football, played in the Arena Football League. This time he hands it off, and Falk is stopped back behind the line. Spun around by Bruce Smith, who made his return on that previous play.
He was limping around before the snap. At the snap of the ball, he's right back to 100 and whatever % he plays. It's somewhere over 100%. We're sure that inside, you see him take a little slant down to the inside. This is a guess, really, by the defense. You try to anticipate where the ball's going. He didn't read the run. His initial move was down inside right into the path of the rush.
And more good news for the Bills as Phil Hansen has stepped back onto the field. So Hansen, Washington, and Smith are intact out of that 3-4 alignment. A 2nd and 13. Play fake. And Justin throwing over the middle, but it was behind Falk, and nearly picked off by Mark Maddox.
Mark Justin has taken a lot of hits already in this ball game, some by design, actually, when he's throwing a screen play or he's throwing a pass that is not fully protected. Now watch the rush right here as he comes in. He's just going to drop straight back. He's looking for protection right now, but there is none with Phil Hansen right back in the ball game, getting in there quickly. Has to throw the ball as soon as he gets back there. There's really no time left. Sam Rogers given the initial pressure.
Ninth play of the drive, a 3rd and 13. 4 receivers for the Colts. Justin took the long look and then incomplete. Intended for Bailey over the middle. Aaron Bailey could not get to it.
Well, he had what he wanted, a nice soft zone by the Buffalo Bills, 3-deep zone. You can see Chris Spielman, number 54 now right here in the middle. He's got the inside part, but he rushes, so he clears out. There's a hole in the middle in the zone. Just directs the throw. Sometimes you just point that thing. You see a man so wide open, you try to put it right on the money rather than put it in the general area, take a little something off, let the receiver make you look good.
And Chris Gardocki having a career season. Back to punt. Jeff Burris waiting at his 10. And a fair catch by Burris. 38-yard punt by Gardocki. 8:36 to go in this first half.
As a delivery company, our business revolves around addresses. Your address, the address you're shipping to, millions of addresses worldwide. You give us an address, we'll get it there. But today, we're giving you an address. Welcome to UPS on the Internet. From here, you can arrange pickups, check rates, even track packages, all from your own computer, anywhere in the world, whether you're at an address or not. UPS, moving at the speed of business. Beck's, the original import. Taste German beer at its finest.
Next on most of these NBC stations, game 2 of our NFL doubleheader. Most of you will see Dan Marino and the Dolphins go up against the Raiders. Others will see John Elway and the Broncos take on the Seahawks of the Oilers and the Jets. That's coming up next here on NBC. 8:36 to go in the second quarter here in Indianapolis. The Buffalo Bills at 9-3, 4 straight wins. They can clinch a playoff berth with a win today, plus some help with Houston and Miami losses or ties, but having their problems here this afternoon against a 6-6 Indianapolis Colt team that has lost 6 of its last 8 games. And Derek Holmes, the ball carrier, plus a penalty marker, is down. McCoy and Martin combined to make the stop.
You know, it's going to be holding against the Bills. We expected that without Saragusa in there, that the running game would be the forte for the Buffalo Bills, but Martin has done a tremendous job.
Holding number 79, offense. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
It's Reuben Brown, who is the second most offender as a holder in the National Football League. Trey Johnson is ranked number 1, and Reuben Brown is number 2. Holding back here is just half the distance. But Saragusa was telling us yesterday that when Ted Marchibroda was here, having been with the Buffalo Bills, he used to help them with some of the calls they make, get an idea where that ball was going. Not today.
And a 1st and 15 at the 5-yard line. Collins able to air it out. Oh, it is caught by Quinn Early. He stumbled, being chased inside the 10, and he goes all the way.
Interesting call there. They're saying that Quinn Early fell on his own. He wasn't tripped by Jason Belser in the open field.
Jason Belser tried to run him down, but could not. A 95-yard touchdown pass play. And for Quinn Early, it is his 6th touchdown of the season. He had a good game earlier this season against the Colts.
So could fake to buy a little time, just straight down the chute. No free safety in the middle. And I guess he went down on his own, although all you have to do is touch him. I don't think the impetus of the fall came from the tackle, from the would-be tackle.
Well, the Colts feel that he was taken down by the impact from Belser, but that was not the call, and it's a 95-yard touchdown pass play. Steve Christie, as you saw, able to add the extra point, and the game is tied at 7.
The catch is right at the end here. It's actually Dietrich Mathis who's covering him. Belser chases him after this. I don't think he got a hand on him. It looks like he was reaching to do it. Sometimes when you're making a full concentrated catch, or eyes and hands on the ball to make the catch, your feet go dead and you go limp down below the waist. And that is like what happens. But as you can see, Todd Collins will make the 100-yard run down there to congratulate that catch and touchdown.
Quinn Early, originally a third-round pick of the San Diego Chargers, signed as a free agent from New Orleans. Spent 3 years with San Diego, 5 with the Saints. 81 catches last year, 82 the year before. And a guy who's so skilled at running after the catch. He did go down, but it appeared in seeing that last replay that he lost his balance and then was able to get up.
And he's one of the better runners after the catch, as you mentioned here. And a guy that has been through Plan B. Remember old Plan B when the teams would protect 35 or 38 of the players and everybody else became a free agent? He's been passed through that all the way into free agency. Was an unprotected or unrestricted free agent and came over here from San Diego. Plan B from New Orleans originally, but here's a guy who's been around but can still play.
Aaron barely muffing the kick, and then off the recovery. Was able to get out to the 13-yard line, taken down by Mark Pike. And that 95-yard pass play is the longest pass play in the history of the Buffalo Bills franchise. The previous long 94, and the man who threw the pass, Jack Kemp, back in October the 11th, 1964. Whatever happened to him, sir?
I don't know. I thought I saw him from a podium recently, but maybe not. You know, it's another reflection as you look at Quinn Early reflecting on that catch and run. Todd Collins is not being treated as a backup quarterback. They're treating him just like a starter.
Jack Kemp to Glenn Bass for 94 yards. That is the previous long, and that was just passed by a moment ago. And things have changed for Marshall Faulk. Got off to the good start, which is unusual. He has not been a good first quarter runner, and the Buffalo Bills certainly have adjusted here in the second quarter because he is not running as freely.
Well, you knew this was going to go back and forth. They had the fast start, the Colts did, but this is a good football team on the other side. One of the best defensive lines. The linebackers have really been bolstered with the addition of Chris Spielman in the offseason. He adds intensity plus to that defense.
Last 6 rushes for Faulk have accounted for just 9 yards. Second down and 9. Here they come. Justin able to get it off through a bullet, incomplete. Intended for the fullback, Cliff Gross, who was covered by Phil Hansen.
Mark Maddox as well as Chris Spielman coming right at the snap. The tactic now is to put a lot of pressure on the Colts and Paul Justin. That also stops the run, because if you're running and blitzing in the gaps, as long as you've got people flowing in behind you right there, you stop the run and you get pressure on the passer.
Sam, aside from the obvious skill differential, Bruce Smith says he would prefer going up against Paul Justin as opposed to Jim Harbaugh, because Harbaugh is so adept at scrambling, and Justin, a guy, likes to stay in the pocket, so he's a pretty good target, and they're all over him once again as he goes incomplete.
You get both sides there. The offensive line of the Colts would rather have a person be still. They know what spot to protect. The defense would rather have a guy be still because they know where to go get him, and they know he's not going to run away from him. This is a classic example of a quarterback that's not going to leave that pocket. He stands right in there, lets it go just in time, but you're going to get hit. Phil Hansen off the field a few moments ago with an injury, completely recovered.
So on 4th down, here's Chris Gardocki punting from his end zone. Jeff Burris is back, and it's a good one. Burris on the return. And he's taken down at the 38-yard line. The tackle by Cliff Gross, 53-yard punt, and an 8-yard return by Burris. Well, tonight on Dateline, it was one of the strangest and most terrifying hijackings ever. It ended with a devastating crash. Now hear what really happened from an American who was inside the plane. An unforgettable Dateline survivor story. That's later tonight here on NBC. 6 minutes, 51 seconds remaining first half. The Bills and the Colts are tied at 7. And Todd Collins feeling a bit better about things after the shaky start.
3 wide receivers, first play.
And it goes to one of the 3, Eric Moles, who puts the speed on. Moles down the sideline, and he's pushed out of bounds inside the 15. Ray McElroy saving the touchdown.
You're just seeing a lot of variety from the Buffalo Bills. Their offense hasn't slowed down at all with Todd Collins in there. This is not a screen. It's just a quick throw to the outside, leaving Moles one-on-one on the outside in his pure speed. This is their #1 draft pick. He really hasn't mastered this offense the way they want him to, but if they can get him plays like that, that's how they'll feed him into the offense.
And it's a 47-yard pass play. You see all the movement, and the flags come flying. So the last 2 plays, the Bills have combined for 142 yards. The 47.
Number 70, offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Penalty on the left tackle, John Fina. So the 47 yards plus the 95-yard touchdown pass play.
Just a quick little, well, this is going to be the movement by everybody on that play. Sometimes you get up there and you want to go on a quick count just to get right back into him. If the quarterback clears his throat, everybody moves.
John Fina back after sitting out last week with turf toe. And a 1st and 15. Straight ahead move by Holmes. Finding the hole and works his way down to the 6. Well, the wake-up call came in the second quarter for the Buffalo Bills, but they are a different team. They've tied the game at 7 and now looking to take the lead.
And you see, this is Hall right here and Reuben Brown right here, not holding this time. Well, maybe a little bit holding, but this is just a straight run up the middle, bend back if you have to. Buffalo Bills basic offense.
And a 2nd and 1. And Holmes is stopped. Stopped by McCoy.
Tony McCoy came off the ball that time. You know, there are 2 kinds of defensive techniques. One is called a 2-gap, where you go right into the offensive lineman. You battle with him at the line of scrimmage, and you've got the gap to the right and the gap to the left. You've got 2 gaps. Another is when you fire straight up the line. You've got 1 gap and you get penetration. That's what Tony McCoy did that time, right into the rush. You run it.
It is a 3rd down and 1. And Jason Bratton, the rookie from Grambling, in the backfield, along with Derek Holmes. We come up on 5 minutes left in the first half. And here is Holmes trying to follow Bratton and then try to ad-lib his way, but could not. Stop short of the first down. Steve Martin is playing for the injured Tony Siragusa, able to come up to make the stop.
Along with Steve Martin and Tony Bennett, both of them got penetration. The quarterback pulled away from. Sometimes as the quarterback pulls away, he takes a step forward to get his balance. And when he does, as the center takes a step backwards, the center steps on his foot. That's what happened right there. He was lucky to reach out and make the handoff to Holmes.
24-yard attempt to Steve Christie. 20 of 23 to the season. Line drives it and hits. So the Bills have taken a 10-7 lead with 4.5 remaining in this first half. This is the 53rd all-time meeting between the Bills and the Colts. Bills have won 7 of the last 10 in that first get-together back in early October in Buffalo. The Bills were forced into an overtime and won at 16-13 on a 39-yard field goal by the man who just put Buffalo in front, Steve Christie. In that game, the Bills were without Jim Kelly, who was sidelined by injury. And Buffalo had 6 sacks against the Colts.
You know, Marv Levy reminded them that that kind of a game could be repeated right here, that they barely beat the Colts, regardless of the situation now, wins and losses. I'm reminded of what Chris Spielman told us last night, too, about coming to a contender, a winning team, they don't get flustered when they get down. The Colts came right out, looked like they were in control of this ball game. Nobody panicked on the Buffalo Bills side of the ball. They just regrouped, continued playing, and their dominance starts to show.
And you can see how they have turned it around. Chris telling us very businesslike, very professional situation, particularly when they go in at halftime, and he made reference to the game,
the New York Giants game
against the Giants opening day, when they were down 17-0 and were able to turn it around and win in overtime. But he said no screaming at all in the locker room at halftime. They just came out, did what they had to. Aaron Bailey on the return. 26-yard kickoff return.
Late flag right at the end. Well, I tell you, there's so many penalties on special teams. The reason is you got everybody in the open field.
In the back, number 50 on the return. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
It's Elijah Alexander. You got everybody in the open field, and you've got everybody trying to make a play, but because they're in the open field, there's a lot of room to maneuver, and as you go after somebody, you find yourself reaching for them, and the penalties occur. Hank Coleman's a special teams coach there for the Colts, and been around for a long time. One of the most likable guys in the business, and is one of those guys that knows everybody else, and everybody knows and likes him.
I recall Hank Coleman when he took over the Arizona Cardinals as the interim coach several years back. It is a 1st and 10 at the 8-yard line. 4:19 to go in this first half. And a short pickup on the completion to Marvin Harrison, stopped by Thomas Smith. Marvin Harrison is playing with a injured left shoulder that has kept him away from fielding punts. #1 draft pick out of Syracuse.
Playing with a donut on that shoulder. A donut is just a inflated pad that goes underneath the shoulder pad and just gives you a little extra cushion, a little extra protection from the direct blow on the shoulder pad.
He is a speed guy, blazing speed. Marvin Harrison. It is a 2nd down and 5 at the 13-yard line. And it's dropped. Ken Dilger, the tight end, not able to hold on.
And that's what's called a hot read. Chris Spielman, number 54, blitzed from the defensive left or the offensive right side. And as soon as he feels that blitz, Dilger has to look. The quarterback reads it correctly. You see Spielman go. Quarterback releases it quick, and really Ken Dilger looked, but just didn't hold on to it. Justin looking for good things to happen, needs them all to happen for him, and also needs to tuck that shirt in. Boy, they'll fine him big time for that.
Sam always on the lookout. A 3rd and 5. And it is incomplete. Harrison tried to lean around Burris, and he could not extend.
The ball should be thrown to the outside. That's one of those patterns that you're going to throw away from the technique of the defender. The defender was on the inside. The ball should be thrown to the outside. It's a timed throw, though. It looks like that this is a case of a quarterback not working a lot with the receiver. You see him throw the ball inside here. The ball should be coming out here. Here's where all the room is.
And Harrison with a mild appeal to the official. Here's Gardocki punting for the 3rd time, and Burris is back. 3.5 remaining in the first half. The Bills 10 and the Colts 7. Burris and tackled as he crossed the 40-yard line. Taken down by Jason Belser. A 52-yard punt and an 8-yard return.
Jason Belser is one of the 4 players on this team that have been able to start and been able to play in every ball game. They've been that injured on the Colts side of the ball, but you know that Lindy and Fonnie told us that this was one of those games where the character was going to have to show. They were going to find out if they could regain some of that fight and that scrap that they've had. And right now's the test, because early lead, fall behind. Here they have to stop them again right before the half.
The Bills do have 3 timeouts remaining. The Colts have already used 2, so they're down to 1. And again the reverse. Molds. You think they've seen something on the film that told them, hey, this club might be vulnerable for the reverse. That's the 3rd attempt, and as it turns out, it hasn't worked.
Well, what you're looking for a lot of flow in order to run the reverse, but Jeff Perrott, who's back in that lineup for the first time, doesn't fall for it. You see him hold his ground. He is right up there, nowhere to go.
All right, Holmes. And he is stopped at the 45-yard line, met by Bernard Whittington.
You know, part of what they probably saw in film was the linebackers of the Colts playing at different spots, but with Jeff Herrod back healthy now, Quentin Coyote is back at right outside linebacker, Stephen Grant at left outside linebacker, and Herrod back in the middle.
All right, Moles is to the right, early to the left at the near side. 3rd and 8. Collins taken down from behind, just looking to protect the football. Chased down by Tony Bennett. And for Bennett, that is his 5th sack of the season.
Dedrick Mathis right there coming up, too. This is the kind of a play that the defense had to have. Give the ball back to the Colts from the Colts standpoint right before the half and give them a chance for that 2 minute. Here's Bennett chasing from the backside, not giving up. You see that Dedrick Mathis coming in there to make sure there was no place to go either. Good job, actually, right at the end of holding on the ball because he didn't see Tony Bennett coming from behind.
And the Colts with their 2nd sack of the game. 2 minutes remaining, first half. Remaining in this first half, and Buffalo by 3 over the Indianapolis Colts. We were talking last night with Marv Levy, and we got into a discussion about his days as a special teams coach back with the Washington Redskins of the 70s. There's Marv. One of the, actually probably the first special teams coach of all time. And he talked about this young quarterback who also happened to be the holder. He was the guy behind Sonny Jurgensen and Billy Kilmer, and there he is.
Maybe the finest holder in the history of the National Football League. I'll tell you one thing about this guy.
His number 79 is
Ron McDowell.
Right, okay.
I'll tell you one thing about that number 18. He was, in the history of the league, the highest paid player per minute of playing time in the history of the National Football League. The record still stands. Yes, it does.
Did you?
I had a little something on somebody. Yes, I did.
Get any game time action with that team with Jurgensen and Kilmer on the squad?
Long enough to get hurt.
Yeah. You were the 3rd string quarterback.
I was the 3rd guy, Sonny Jurgensen and Billy Kilmer.
All right, here is the punt by Moore. State line comes up for it and lets it bounce. And it took a good hop for the Colts. Whoa. Boomerang effect.
About a 10-yard punt after that one ended up. It had to be at least 45 or 50 yards straight up, though. It was great for hang time.
Well, that's Bruce DeHaven, the special teams coach of the Bills, who looks a bit puzzled by that hop. And it does go down officially, unfortunately, for Chris Moore as a 10-yard punt.
He came into this game averaging 40.6. Last week, he averaged, his net was more than his gross, meaning that they actually lost yardage after they caught the ball. They only fielded one of them and lost 16 yards on the thing, but he has had a very strong year up until this afternoon.
A minute 49 remaining, first half. And Paul Justin and the Colts take over, 1st and 10 at the 47-yard line. Out of the shotgun. And he threw it behind Bailey. And is hearing the reaction from the crowd. Damian Covington on the coverage. It'll be a 2nd and 10. But first, let's check in with Greg Gumbel.
All right, Marv, heavy rain in Baltimore doesn't seem to be bothering Vinny Testaverde. This is his 2nd touchdown pass of the day. 24 yards to Derek Alexander, his AFC leading 26th touchdown pass of the year. Baltimore 14-10 over Pittsburgh as they approach 2 minutes in the first half, Marv.
Thank you, Greg. Well, Paul Justin, in his 2nd year out of Arizona State, making only his 2nd NFL start, having his difficulties in the 2nd quarter, able to complete to Falk, and he's taken down back at the line of scrimmage by Covington. So Justin is now 7 of 16. He began the game 5 of 7. He is connected on only 1 of his last 8 attempts.
And they're having to make the quick throws. They can't sit back there. They're just not able to hold Bruce Smith out. Actually, David White has been in there on almost every snap They're playing a lot of linebackers. Chris Spielman's still in there. Damian Covington in there in their nickel. That means they've only got 5 defensive backs with 2 linebackers.
David White starting for the injured Bryce Pop. 3rd and 9. 1 minute left in the half. Justin took the long look, and it is almost picked off. Kurt Scholes, who has been on fire. He's had 4 interceptions the last 2 games. He had 2 last week against the Jets. The AFC Defensive Player of the Week this past week was looking for number 5 overall for the season.
Look coming from this side over here. They're just not able to hold Bruce Smith out. He is making contact on the quarterback on every throw. What that forces you to do, it forces you to throw 3- and 5-step drops.
Timeout, Indianapolis. Injury in the last 2 minutes by Roll.
Timeout, that is Indianapolis, and because of the injury, there's a charged timeout in the last 2 minutes of a half of the ball game right there. As you can see, when the ball was released, almost intercepted down the field, and that's what happens when you get quick pressure. The quarterback throws it without having a full look at what's down the field, and players come out of nowhere seemingly to intercept.
Brian Stabline is the injured player. The Colts have already lost Lamont Warren, who was running well in the early going and then sprained an ankle, and he's out the rest of the way. And now they're taking a long look at wide receiver, punt return man Brian Stabline.
Now, this would not be an injury that would be the result of players going at different speeds, but just kind of following up on what I was saying earlier. You know, the fine system, Gene Washington's in charge of that in the league office. If a player is unnecessarily rough, hitting a player, leading with the head, going after the quarterback, either high or low, a lot of fines. And you see players, as we watch games, we're seeing them play at different speeds. Players afraid of getting fined, therefore they let up. But they're letting up at different times. So you got one player still going full speed against another player that's already letting up. And actually, I think, creates injuries. Not every injury is a result of that, but some of them are. And it's really something that the league needs to look at, because more common sense has to come into the fine system.
Yeah, that was obviously. Stabline was trying to make that leaping grab and just landed wrong in a
that was
collision.
Two players going 100% right there, full speed. That's not one of those cases. Stabline is a player that is a fill-in guy for him anywhere they need him, as a return man, as a receiver, special teams guy going down on coverage teams. They would lose several spots on their roster when he steps off the field.
And Stabline is hearing it as he heads back to the sideline. Coming up at halftime, the Domino's Pizza NFL on NBC halftime report. Greg Gumbel with all the scores and highlights from around the NFL. A talk with Jimmy Johnson. It's all coming up at halftime. Not referring to Jim, don't call me Jimmy Johnson, the defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts.
I'm going to tell him you said that. I told you not to do it.
And Burris is back for the Gardocki punt. And it hops to the end zone, so they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. It goes down as a 52-yard punt. And they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. That was not what Gardocki was looking to do. He has put 20 inside the 20. That's a NFL high. And that is only his second touchback.
84 downfield on the kick. Penalties decline. First down.
It probably would not have been a touchback, except Marlon Kerner for the Buffalo Bills did a good job of signaling for the fair catch, as if he was going to catch it away from where the ball was going. And so the Colts gathered around Kerner. Once you signal for the fair catch, you cannot block anybody, but you can signal and not catch the ball.
So Todd Collins and the Buffalo Bills start out from their 20-yard line. Collins 6 of 9, 182 yards, had that big play, the 95-yard touchdown pass, hooking up with Quinn Early. Here's Holmes to the outside. Eric Holmes playing for the injured Thurman Thomas, who is inactive today, stopped by Bernard Whittington.
They sent Andre Reed in motion that time and then ran the ball back to the tight end side, hoping there wouldn't be any force. That ball was probably designed if not specifically to bounce outside, a good chance to.
And there's Thurman Thomas working the sideline. Penalty marker was down.
It'll still be first down.
Well, I didn't get all of that one. It looks like it's going to be a 5-yard penalty against the Colts. And it's marked off from the point of the penalty, and therefore it's 1st and 1. Love those situations from the sideline when you're calling plays.
Clock was stopped with 33 seconds remaining in the half. That is an unusual scenario. A 1st and 1 for the Bills at their 29-yard line. Play fake to Holmes. And again, Collins goes deep too early. And it's picked off. Once again, Collins looking for early downfield, but Eugene Daniel comes up with the interception, and for the Colts, their 2nd interception of the game.
And Eugene Daniel's 3rd interception of the season. Straight go pattern, or fly pattern, up pattern as it's called. Just a token fake from the quarterback. You can see the outside release. Daniel has the inside position. The ball drops inside. Just a straight sprint up the field. If the ball is thrown deep enough, the receiver can box him out. The ball wasn't quite thrown deep enough. There's Todd Collins at the other end of that 40 or 45-yard throw.
Kind of a different dimension for the Buffalo Bills with a quarterback firing deep downfield, but he's been picked off now twice.
They're not afraid to take a chance because they think this guy can perform that way. On this side of the ball, though, I think we'll see a more conservative approach.
And a first down at the 24-yard line. Justin was able to get that off on the screen. Time is running down as Falk was stopped by Hansen. Clock is running. The Colts do not have any timeouts remaining, so that will do it.
And they had to take a chance on a sure throw rather than run the risk of anything. They've been getting too much pressure on Justin all day.
So at the half, it's the Buffalo Bills 10 and the Indianapolis Colts 7 in this matchup of two teams that have been hard hit by injury. 3-point lead for the Bills at halftime. Now let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York.
This is the Domino's Pizza NFL on NBC Halftime Report, brought to you by Domino's Pizza. For hot and wow, call Domino's. Now.
All right, Marv and Sam, thanks very much. Welcome back to our studios here in New York, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel, along with Chris Collinsworth, Mike Ditka, and Joe Gibbs. Let's run down scores and highlights for you. The game that you are watching at the break. The Buffalo Bills with a 3-point lead on Indianapolis. 10-7 is the score. Backup quarterback starting for both clubs. Todd Collins for Jim Kelly. Paul Justin for Jim Harbaugh. Scoreless in the first. Collins, problems early on. First quarter, 2 fumbles, and this pick by Damon Watts, who makes the nice diving catch. He returned 20 yards to the Colt 32-yard line. It led to a 12-play drive by Indy, 10 running plays, culminating in Marshall Faulk's 1-yard touchdown. They used 8 minutes of clock. Indy led 7-0. But Collins in the second quarter finally got on track on this big-time play. Out of his own end zone, he hits Quinn Early on the run. Early stumbles, was not tackled, and then outruns safety for the 95-yard touchdown, the longest touchdown pass in Bills history. Early's 6th touchdown of the season, ties the game at 7. The field goal puts Buffalo on top by a score of 10-7. Joe, you know, this game going back and forth. Todd Collins has had his problems. The only time that he shined was that one play.
Well, it's not really been the one play in the whole first half for either team. And I'd say we've got it pinpointed at the right place. It's Todd Collins versus Paul Justin, 2 young quarterbacks. Right now, Justin's not got the ball downfield at all. They throw a few screens and wrap it up. That's it.
Justin has completed only 8 passes, 5 to Falk.
And a look at the Coors Light halftime statistics to see the 222 total yards for Buffalo, but that has been accomplished for the most part off those big plays. A 47-yarder with the rookie Moles and the 95-yard touchdown that we saw a moment ago. And the Colts have had the ball nearly 19 minutes in the first half.
Well, that is an expression of their conservative approach rather than the Buffalo Bills just by doing everything, which includes the big hit and the big throws. You know, one play they completed a pass for 95 yards. The Colts had 103 the entire first half.
That is Aaron Bailey back waiting for the kick from Steve Christie. He takes it at the 1. Out to the 20. Nice move as he works his way to the 30-yard line. A good return by Bailey. Stopped by the backup defensive back Eric Smedley. And here comes Paul Justin. So Collins 6 of 10. 182 yards. Picked off twice, through the 1 touchdown. And Justin 8 of 18. Only 59 yards.
21 of those yards to the wide receivers, none to the tight end. Every other throw has gone to Marshall Faulk. That's 5 completions.
Harrison is flanked to the right. Dawkins in the slot to the right as the Colts start out from their 31-yard line. Third quarter getting underway, and Faulk is hit down behind the line. Phil Hansen with a burst.
You know, when you have a player injured early in the ball game and then you see him come back playing as well as Phil Hansen has, you breathe that sigh of relief on the other side of the ball. Marv Levy and his staff. This is a game between 2 injured football teams, 2 beat-up football teams, and what you're seeing are backup players having to come in and play and perform, and the few starters that are left have to play exceptionally well, and they've done it.
It is a loss of 4, and Marshall Faulk back to having his problems. We saw the acceleration early, running well in the first quarter. Now, off the fake, a pretty pass with the backup tight end Marcus Pollard able to make the catch in front of Matt Stevens. That's good for 19 and a first down.
It was a good throw into tight coverage, but what is really pretty is you see Marcus Pollard look the ball all the way in. Token fake. All you're doing there is you've been running the ball a lot. Fake the run, throw the ball. Now watch Pollard right there. See his eyes looking right down at that ball. Actually, now that I look at it, I think he was looking at the sudden impact that was about to hit him, but he looked the ball all the way in, pulled it in there tight, and held on.
Sam giving the guy credit and then taking it back.
Yanking it right out from under him.
And a first down at the 45-yard line. A bullet thrown by Justin, but it was off the mark. Intended for Faulk, who was covered again by the rookie Matt Stevens.
And this is what you see with a quarterback who hasn't been in there with the first unit all the time. When you see patterns that are down the field and they're turn-in patterns or stop patterns, hook patterns, the receiver has to slide to the open area. See Faulk move to the inside. The ball's coming out in here. That's just a matter of time. Just have to throw a lot of passes to feel the receiver feel the quarterback.
Paul Justin last week came on for the injured Jim Harbaugh. Did a good job, 11 of 22, 128 yards. This is only his second start in the NFL. 2nd and 10. Now Justin to the sideline. Nice swing move by Faulk, and he's just shy of the first down. The free safety Kurt Scholes on the stop.
And Bruce Smith again in there. Every time Justin drops back, he's seeing number 78 as he releases the ball. He takes that ball back and watches the pressure come from those white jerseys. And the offensive line's doing a good job. They moved him around, but you see the pressure coming from over here. Anytime you see that contact, they're man on man, but they're just on skates. They're getting pushed right back into the quarterback's face.
3rd and 2 at the Buffalo 47. 81 Pollard in motion. And a straight ahead move for the first down by Faulk. Ted Washington, the nose tackle, getting the wraps on Faulk. What a year it's been for Ted Washington. One of the premier run stoppers in the NFL. He's playing with an injured elbow, but people on the Bills saying he is having a career season.
It's tough to play one-arm football, too, especially in there where you've got to use your hands to throw the center away. He's going right up. You can see the brace on that elbow, and you can see that the girdle is not part of the repertoire this afternoon.
The girdle.
The girdle. I'm wearing mine. I don't know why that is.
And a first down play as Cliff Gross is able to break one. Beautiful blocking. Thomas Smith made the stop. Cliff Gross with a 19-yard run. Now the Colts have struggled at the fullback position following that season-ending knee injury to Zach Crockett and the suspension to Roosevelt Potts. But this one of the season's highlights for Cliff Gross.
Sure is. That's balance. He did not concede the tackle. When you haven't carried the ball a lot, many times it only takes good contact to bring you down. You don't have to wrap a player up. Not the case with Cliff Gross on that run.
First down at the 25. It was Falk. Stopped by Rogers.
You know, the Buffalo Bills play a 3-4 defense. Only Carolina and Pittsburgh, the only other two teams in the league, that play a 3-4-3. Down linemen, 4 linebackers. Wade Phillips orchestrating that. And that means that one of those linebackers, in that case it was Sam Rogers, is usually involved in the rush or in close up to the line of scrimmage, making your 4th player so that you've got the right matchup with the offensive line.
2nd and 10. The lone deep back is Gross. Falk now operating on the wing to the left of Justin. Justin looking that way and then taken down. Tripped up by the combination of Bruce Smith and Ted Washington. First sack of the day for the Bills.
You know, when you see somebody come through that clean, you know you've got one-on-one blocking somewhere. Now, Bruce Smith, I'm not sure really. I suppose that Jason Matthews was being passed from Doug Waddell. He was passed off. Bruce Smith was passed off to Matthews, but Matthews is way out of position. Straight direct pass to the quarterback. And Ted Washington, of course, made sure that Justin had no place to run.
And coming into today, Buffalo Bills leading the AFC with 40 sacks. They've had 18 the previous 3 games. Washington getting credit for that sack. 3rd and 20. And it is completed inside the 15 to Mark Stock. Tackled by Sean Moran. Mark Stock, a 4-year player out of VMI with only his 2nd reception of the season.
Blitz coming from this side right here. The 4 down linemen are coming. Here comes 54, Chris Spielman on the rush. They're bringing 5 players. Now, they're 5 offensive linemen, so 5 on 5 you should match up. But as soon as 2 offensive linemen double one other guy, you're 1 short. The quarterback has to throw quick.
Now here is Blanchett with a 41-yard attempt on a 4th and 9 situation, and Blanchard had it blocked. Someone got a piece of it. Blanchard, who earlier missed from 33, now not able to hit from 41.
Blanchard has had such a great year. Today, a disaster. Chris Moore on the other side of the ball has had such a great year. Punting the ball, a disaster for him. Special teams, rough inside the dome today.
Now, it looked like someone got a piece of it. We'll get another look right here. Yes, it was tipped.
The styling.
9:34 remaining in the 3rd quarter, and Buffalo back to the offense. Derek Holmes with a short pickup, stopped by Jeff Herrod. Well, that last field goal attempt by Cary Blanchard was blocked by Bruce Smith, his 3rd field goal block of the season.
And you see, he's just reaching up. All this is anticipation. You try to time the kick. The kick usually is released about 1.2 to 1.4 seconds. You've got to time it.
Bruce Smith leading the NFL in that department. Holmes running hard, and he's right to the marker. Free safety Jason Belser on the stop. Chicago and Green Bay are now tied at 7. Detmer has thrown for 3 against the Giants. Minnesota in front of Arizona. Boomer Esiason and the Cardinals were red hot. Had a Carolina in front of your old club, 17-0. Collins taking it by himself and has a first down run out by Eugene Daniel.
And right at the end, you saw Eugene Daniel let up just a little bit, and the quarterback runs 1 foot beyond the first down marker. A year ago, 2 or 3 years ago, there would have been full contact on the sideline, but not anymore. You know, it's good. I mean, I'm glad that they protected the quarterback. All I'm saying, it needs to be really refined so that some of the injuries that may occur from different speeds being played on the field are eliminated.
First down at the Indianapolis 47-yard line. And we have flags thrown. Looked like Quinn Early was trying to get into position.
Full start, number 74, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And it was the right tackle, Glenn Parker, called on that false start.
The tackles are the farthest offensive linemen from the quarterback. There's not a noise problem in the dome right now, but the tackles are usually the ones that are going to jump because the defensive ends will line up real wide. Their eyes are totally away from the ball. They don't see the ball move out of the corner of their eye like a guard does.
1st and 15, the Bills at their 48-yard line. Holmes. It is a capacity crowd, better than 60,000 here in Indianapolis. Chris Spielman, who is certainly a throwback. I guess that would be the proper tag on Chris. He says dome stadiums are actually a communist plot.
Oh, I agree with him. I mean, what's your point?
Obviously it is. Just passing along information, Sam.
As Stephen Grant is down for the Colts on the field out there. Last night we were talking to him. He came in to get and there was a bottle of bottled water there with a cap on it. The can opener was right beside the bottle, but instead he just reached in, opened it with his teeth, and sat down beside us. I immediately got myself quiet waiting for your first question.
Did you see a problem with that, Sam?
I had to quit doing that years ago.
Yes, timeout called. 7:39 left, 3rd quarter.
Mars
Help back to the sideline, so another injury. Here's another end around. Molds. And he is turned back. They'll keep driving at it. That's the 4th reverse play attempted by the Buffalo Bills.
That one's a very complicated reverse, too. It's a tough ball handling because you see Derek Holmes is going to run off the right side right here. The quarterback has to make the fake and then hand underneath. There's a lot of get out of the way involved in that one. Surprising, really, that they have that much confidence in Collins already, but they do.
3rd and 5. Play being changed at the line by Collins. And that one got away. A high throw intended for the tight end, Lonnie Johnson.
Sammy Burroughs all over that one. The Colts were a little confused on defense that time. They were trying to talk to each other and get everything lined up. You can see that the motion is across the field and their one-on-one coverage there, but they couldn't get anybody. There's really nobody in this area right here. One-on-one coverage, though, by Burroughs. Incomplete pass. That's one of those dangerous spots. If they throw to the right place, it could be a big game.
All right, Chris Moore punting to Mark Stock, who has come on for Brian Stabline, who was shaken up earlier. And Stock let it go, and it was downed inside the 5-yard line and then got away. So it ends up in the end zone. Damian Covington tried to keep it away and knocked it into the end zone, and it led to the scramble. But
no, I tell you, this is once the ball is touched by the Buffalo Bills, it's a free ball for the Colts. He could have carried the ball 50 yards, fumbled it, and they would have got the ball back where it was first touched.
The receiver gained possession in the end zone. Never got the ball out. It's a touchback.
It's a free call. Anytime that ball is touched by the cover team and they don't down it, freeze the ball, it's anybody's chance.
So they will bring it out to the 20, and we'll take a break.
It's that time of year again. Time to get your car in shape for the holidays. Well, we've got everything on your list at Napa's Season Savings Sale.
And there is Mark Stock, who was just involved in that tricky play, fielding the punt. We'll get back to that in a moment. Bills with a 10-7 lead on the Colts. 6:37 left in the 3rd quarter. And a 1st and 10 at the 20. The screen, well, that did not look very pretty, as Pollard made the catch and went down.
Justin made another hit. As Mark Stock made a beautiful play on this last. The ball, once it's touched by the Buffalo Bills, right there it's touched, it's a free ball. He could run anywhere. He could pitch the ball back, fumble it. Now he puts his foot on the white line. You'll see him touch the goal line, but he doesn't come into the field of play. The white portion of the goal line is in the end zone. You'll see it right here. His foot there. He's in the end zone still. He does not touch the green, so he can take a knee, gets the ball out to the 20-yard line. Smart play by Stock.
And it ended up as a touchback, bringing it out to the 20. Now a 2nd and 10 at the 20. This time Justin had some time, and it is incomplete. Or did he catch it on a deflection? Kurt Scholes looking for the intercept, but it is ruled that he was out of bounds. Marvin Harrison couldn't hold on. It was deflected away and then was tipped by Smith, and then Schultz looking for the interception, but it is incomplete.
The official George Coleman's right on the spot on this one. The ball is thrown deep to the outside, deflected.
The pass is ruled incomplete. Incomplete.
Both feet are on the white. Good job. And you see the official is right in position to see it, right down the line, right where he's supposed to be. All of those off-season meetings are paying off for him.
A couple of close calls along the line.
Really are, but it's been very well officiated. And, you know, you hear all the comments about the instant replay. As you review the games, you find out there aren't that many mistakes that are made. It'd be nice to have the fail-safe late in the game.
All of a sudden.
I'm trying to make some points here.
George Coleman, the back judge, was on the scene for that last call. A 3rd and 10. Justin staying in the pocket and then way off. Intended for Harrison. And again, Justin took a pretty good pop.
He's getting hit on almost every throw, and they're not holding. He's not holding the ball. They're not calling patterns deep down the field where he's got to take 7 steps. He's taking 5, or he's throwing on time. The ball's already back to him. He sets. This time he has to hold it. But most of the patterns that he's been calling down the field have been patterns that get the ball off quick. He's still getting hit.
So Gardocki will punt. Burris is back. And he'll run it. Looked like he was going to call for the fair catch and is able to make the move out to the 42-yard line. A 43-yard punt. And will take a timeout. Well, that is the knee of Stephen Grant. It is called a sprained knee, suffered moments ago, and he is out the rest of the way. Yet another injury suffered by the Colts. We're also told Quentin Coriat suffered a chest injury, and he is a question mark. The Bills take over from their 42-yard line, and Holmes trying to one-handed. The screen developed a little late.
Tony Bennett rushing from the backside along with Ellis Johnson. There just wasn't time for the screen to develop. Screen is a timed play between the offensive line, the quarterback, and the receiver, the running back. And if anybody's out of sync, it doesn't look very good, as you see right there.
2nd and 10 at the 42. Trev Albert's playing for the injured Stephen Grant. Holmes with a change of direction, able to pull his way across the 45-yard line. Well, next Saturday at 2 o'clock Eastern, college basketball returns to NBC as we bring you the John Wooden Classic. We will join game 1 in progress, the Arizona Wildcats going up against Keith Van Horn. That is Keith, Sam. And the 4th-ranked Utah Utes. Then in game 2, Louisville and LSU. The John Wooden Classic next Saturday here on NBC. 5.5 to go in the 3rd quarter. Off the pick, Holmes with a delay, and then try to make the cut, and is taken down. Hit hard, well short of the first down. Richard Dent and Sammy Burroughs combining to make the stop, and the Bills forced to punt.
Richard Dent is in there on passing downs. It was 3rd and long. That's an old play that the Pittsburgh Steelers really made famous when Chuck Noll was the coach there. It's a straight, looks like a passing formation for all the world, but the motion man or one of the flankers cracks back above the waist, head of hit above the waist, and you shovel the ball out for a quick sweep. But Richard Dent was all over that along with Sam Burroughs.
And that's Mark Stock awaiting the punt from Chris Moore. Fair catch. No, it looks like, in fact, everybody froze. There was no indication. And then Stock able to run it across the 20-yard line. Picked up 3 off the 37-yard punt. The tackle made by Ethan Albright. 30 Central from director Steven Spielberg. Jurassic Park tonight after Third Rock right here on NBC. 4.5 to go in the 3rd quarter. The Colts are trailing the Bills 10-7. Here's Falk finding some running room and able to make his way across the 35-yard line. A powerful run by Falk, who ran into the strong safety Matt Stevens and then went down, but he collected 15 on the play.
Going into that play, he was averaging 1.8 yards per carry all the way to second. Now watch him lower his shoulders right in there and falls for another 2.5 yards after the contact. This is a guy that's ignoring whatever pain he's going through with the toe, and believe me, you're not playing without some Indian. 2.5 up from 1.8, so he's gaining.
A first down at the 37-yard line. Off the fake to Falk. Justin can't find anyone. And that was almost intercepted by Burris. He had a crack at it. Paul Justin throwing a hard ball. It was intended for Marvin Harrison.
The play was designed to be thrown back. He's rolling to his right and going to throw back to his left. But you see Marvin Harrison right here. He sees his quarterback in trouble, comes back to the ball, as all receivers are taught to do. You don't run away. You run right back down the sideline. Now, the quarterback's got to throw the ball right down the sideline as well. We're just looking at an inexperienced quarterback. You know, you mentioned earlier he played in the Arena Football and the World Football League. Of course, Arena's a different style of play, totally different tempo in the National Football League.
Justin 11 of 25, only 97 yards. 2nd and 10 out of the short set, and he completes. Sean Dawkins. Hauled down by Kurt Scholes. That time a quick hit over the middle, and it's good for 37 yards.
And it's the same kinds of throws that they've been making, the quick short throws. Just a slant. Now he's going to break right inside, and when he does, he's trying to get there before he gets to Mark Maddox, the linebacker, and then it's a dead sprint. Kurt Schultz just had enough speed to trip him up at the end. Schultz had 2 interceptions a week ago and saves a touchdown right here.
Second catch of the day, number 48 on the season. Dawkins, the Colts leading receiver, sets a first down at the 25-yard line. Here's Falk, and a flag is thrown over at the far side. Phil Hansen with the stop on Marshall Falk.
I think Phil just jumped off sides. He was way ahead of the count on that one.
Offside, number 90, defense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
He had an inside slant by design, and when you know you're going to slant inside, you try to get the jump on the snap count so that you can beat the inside portion of the blocking scheme. He does get down inside. You see Tony Manders trying to make the contact right there, but got to stay on your side of the ball until it comes up to the quarterback.
1st and 5 at the 20. The Indianapolis Colts in danger of playoff elimination, coming in at 6 and 6. Falk just short of the first down. Washington made the tackle. The only team that the Colts have beaten this season with a winning record, the Dallas Cowboys, that was back in week 3, and they did it in Dallas. Remember, the Colts got off to a 4-0 start, but they have dropped 6 of their last 8. This Indianapolis team that went 9-7 last year, and then in the playoffs pulled off the surprise, beat San Diego in the wild card, knocked off Kansas City, then lost to Pittsburgh in a heartbreaker in the AFC Championship game. A lot of hopes for this season, but injuries have really wrecked this team. Marshall Falk picking up the first down, covered up by Chris Spielman.
You know, this is a team that, as you look at the whole season, one disappointing loss like that really turned the tide for them, a string of losses. And in this particular ball game, they started out fast, missed the field goal, and they really haven't recovered from it until this drive right here, led by Marshall Falk.
The one consistency has not continued on here today for the Colts, and that the kicking of Kerry Blanchard.
He's had a big year until today.
Missed 2, one was blocked. There's Falk, and he's hit back behind the line. It's a loss of 2 or 3 on the play. David White up to make the stop. David White, in his 3rd year out of Nebraska, he's been primarily a special teams player. Came up last year with a key interception against Dan Marino in the playoffs, and White today playing for the injured Bryce Popp.
You know, I think a guy like David White has really helped when a guy like Chris Spielman comes into the locker room and the meeting room and on that playing field out there. Everything picks up, and a guy that's been a good player becomes a better player.
2nd and 13. We're under a minute left in the 3rd quarter. And Justin's pass is caught, and he's picked it up. Justin for Harrison, who was stopped by Spielman.
And we've been talking about the fact that Justin has been throwing to the left side when he should be throwing to the right side of receivers. This is by design. Now you're going to see Harrison come inside and then slide back to the outside by design. That was not an adjustment to the route. Therefore, the pass is right there. And they're going to be about 6 yards short of a first down in tough territory because they can make the first down right here to about the 2-yard line, but they've got no room down the field. The defense is going to be playing them tight.
Third catch of the day by Harrison. You see time running out in this third quarter, and that will do it. When we resume, a 3rd down and 5 at the 7 after 3. It's the Bills by 3. We'll be back after this from your local station.
For the private use of our audience, any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the NFL is prohibited.
On to the 4th quarter, and Buffalo with a 10-7 lead on Indianapolis. A Marshall Faulk 1-yard run after a 68-yard 12-play drive in the first quarter for the 7-0 Colts lead. And then Collins combining on a 95-yard pass play with Early tied the game. Christie's 24-yard field goal has given the Bills the lead. And a hard hit by Bruce Smith on Paul Justin. He got him from behind, and then a little conversation follows.
Doug Weidel in the left side of that line. Jason Matthews just unable to hold him out. Anytime you see a tackle's shoulders turn like that, number 67, Jason Matthews, playing the left side for only the 2nd week. But when his shoulders start to turn, he's in trouble. He's beat.
Bruce Smith was telling us last night, Sam, he considers this overall the best season of his career. He feels, aside from his stats, and he has come up with the plays in critical situations, and we just saw that. Now here is Blanchard from 25 yards to tie it, and he does. He missed his first 2, although one was blocked by Smith. And as you can see, not a happy guy, but he's tied the game at 10. Downtown Indianapolis, we're indoors at the Dome. The game is tied at 10. And the kick returned by Russell Copeland. Flag is thrown behind the play as Copeland reaches out to the 22-yard line. But a penalty marker is down. Steve Morrison on the stop. And the call against Buffalo.
And the call is going to be made around the 15-yard line.
Number 91 on the return. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
That's a 7.5-yard penalty. That puts them well back inside the 10. And, you know, Marv Levy concerned about this, but Lindy and Fonnie told us that this is going to be one of those character checks where they found out if they could just hang together and stay in a game like this. You see Sean Price reaches in there and hooks him. Sean played for me in Tampa Bay. Never did that under my direction.
Drawn in his 4th year out of Pacific. And it is Todd Collins. And the Buffalo Bills starting from deep in the territory, and Derek Holmes runs them out of some trouble, stopped by Steve Martin. Collins only 0 for 2 in the 3rd quarter. Had a 6 for 10, 182-yard first half, including that 95-yard touchdown pass to Quinn Early, the longest pass play in the history of the Bills. The previous long, Jack Kemp to Glenn Bass back in 1964. It's been a rough year for Jack Kemp.
You mean losing the record like that?
Yes. Nice spin by Holmes, and he has the first down. You wonder, would he be more upset about having that record eclipsed or the political loss?
I am a supporter of Jack Kemp, so just don't start, okay?
Just an innocent statement.
He's a tremendous guy, very good friend, and he speaks highly of you, too, by the way. Off the left side, Holmes spinning. You know, this is the time when the running game should come into play. Take the pressure off the quarterback trying to get back in and just try to drive it right down the throats of the Colts right now if you're a Bill.
And a 1st and 10 at the 24-yard line, and Holmes is stopped back behind the line. Stopped by Steve Martin. It has been a quiet afternoon for Andre Reed, and looks like obviously he is hurting, holding the wrist. Reed has not caught a pass. He has had a terrific bounce-back season, leading the Bills in receptions with 53. Second and 10. 2 minutes in. Fourth quarter. Collins in trouble and taken down inside the 10. Bernard Whittington with a second sack of the season, and for the Colts, their third of the game.
Steve Martin involved in that one. Bernard Whittington finishing it off. As the quarterback sets up, he has to pull the ball back, and when he tries to escape, Whittington is right there. This is a defense that has not let up all afternoon. They have just kept coming after the quarterback, keeping the Colts in this ball game.
Bernard Whittington in his third season out of Indiana.
Dangerous spot here for the Bills now. Third and forever, backed up. Don't want to make a mistake. Time ran out on them. They just had to call timeout to talk this one over.
Third and 25 coming up. 12:24 to go in the fourth. Timeout a moment ago. Todd Collins looking a bit shaky as he walked to the sideline, and now set to go. Third and 25. Holmes well short of the first down, and so the punting unit will check in. Eugene Daniel made the stop.
Safe play. Just wanted to give themselves a little bit more room. Don't run the risk of a turnover down here. The crowd's back into it. You can see that the defense is feeling it. That'll spread right over to the offense.
So Chris Moore back at his goal line will punt to Mark Stock, who has taken over the punting duties due to the injury suffered by Brian Staveline, and Marvin Harrison still bothered by the shoulder problem. So it will be Stock, a fourth-year player out of VMI.
He faked the fair catch a moment ago, fooled everybody.
This time he has to backpedal. Beautiful punt. Muffed it, and then able to recover and pull away and run out across the 35-yard line. Tony Klein able to get him out of bounds, and a 57-yard punt. 6-yard return.
They are a new breed of individual investor, and their numbers are growing. They know the power of
it. It has been a rough game physically for both teams. And Paul Justin and the Colts start out from the 35-yard line. Marshall Faulk got a quick hit and picked up a couple. The game is tied at 10 with 3 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. Coming up next on most of these NBC stations, Game 2 of our NFL doubleheader. Most of you will see Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins go up against the Oakland Raiders. Others will see John Elway and the Broncos take on the Seahawks, or the Oilers and the Jets. That's next right here on NBC. 2nd and 9 at the 37-yard line. And Justin able to peg it and completes to the tight end Pollard, but he was immediately hit by the free safety Kurt Scholes, who's piling up big tackle numbers. That is 7th of the day, coming off a terrific afternoon last week. 2 interceptions, 3 deflected passes, 10 tackles against the Jets.
And you see Kurt right here. He's just reacting. He's got man-to-man coverage, it looks like, straight up the field. Allows the catch, but you'll give up every time a yard or two if you can possibly knock the ball loose. Every contact means a chance for a fumble, too, on defense.
So a 3rd and long for the Colts. And there's the movement, and a flag is down.
Doug Weidel flinched a little bit. Once they go into that three-point stance, they can't move at all. Occasionally a 2-point.
Ball start, number 64, offense. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Doug Weidel, the former Lion, former Bronco, former Packer in his 8th season out of Boston College.
There he is. You'll see him lean back. All he's got to do, and of course, Phil Hansen is watching the movement as well as the ball. Any movement, the ball has to move too before he can go legally, but any movement that's illegal on the offense, he can kill the play with his movement.
This is a reshuffled offensive line for the Colts. They've had all kinds of Problems up front, but they've done a good job here today. 3rd and 14. Look out as Justin is able to complete it. Finding Falk, but short of the first down. Spielman on the tackle. And Bruce Smith lending a hand to Paul Justin.
Well, he might as well, because he is sure back there with it. Jason Matthews is just no match for Bruce Smith today. That's a no contest right there. 1-on-1 block. There are lots of ways you could help. You can bring a back over there to what's called chip. Another guy that's just on that side to help the tackle. But they're going to have to help Jason Matthews because he cannot handle, as this game winds down, he won't be able to handle Bruce Smith in the pass rush.
Gardocki punting from the 25. Burris. And hit immediately.
Mark Stock, I tell you, is playing both sides of the ball. Not only is he making smart plays out of the end zone after a punt, taking a fair catch, but timing up that hit, no gain. Here you see Mark Stock being held a little bit there, but continuing his progress. Saw no fair catch signal, kept his eyes open, locked him up.
53-yard punt in for Gardocki, another one inside the 20. So 9:41 remaining in the 4th quarter. And the Bills will start out at their 8-yard line. And looks like Marcus Pollard is hurt. A reminder, NBC tonight starts with an all-new Dateline, followed by NBC's comedy hit, Third Rock from the Sun. And then at a special time, 8:30, 7:30 Central, Jurassic Park. One of the biggest movie hits of all time from director Steven Spielberg. That's Jurassic Park tonight after Third Rock right here on NBC.
And here's where the special teams comes into play in the game. Field position. Gardocki's kick. A good play by Stock. And the Bills have to start on their own 8-yard line with this crowd in their ear.
And it is Holmes able to bring out across the 13-yard line. Let's check in right here with Greg Gumbel. He has this update.
All right, Marvin, Jacksonville, a chance to look at one of the game's more exciting players, Mark Brunell. Down 20-19 to Cincy. Here come the Jaguars. Brunell rolls this way, eludes the rush, lost it 48 yards for Keenan McCardle, stays in bounds, gets into the end zone. The 2-point conversion makes it a 27-20 Jacksonville lead on the Bengals, Marv.
All right, Greg, and the Buffalo Bills in their hurry up run another play for Derek Holmes. Picked up 3. It'll be a 3rd down and 1 at the 17-yard line. The Bills with only 3 first downs in the second half.
You know, the Colts stopping the run was a big question mark coming into this ball game. We talked last night to Kent Hull, who was talking about Tony Saragusa, that he just somehow found a way to fall in the hole. He was always there against the run. Saragusa's job has been to try to talk to Steve Martin and fill him in on not only the tips that the offense gives you, because the split of the line, sometimes the calls they make, all of those kind of things will help you fall into the hole Saragusa was falling into. Steve Martin has done an exceptional job today.
Well, the Bills did pick up a first down on that run by Holmes. A first down at the 18-yard line. Here's Holmes with a short pickup. Adric Mathis on the stop. Derek Holmes playing for the injured Thurman Thomas, who was out with that lower leg problem. Holmes started 2 games last year as a rookie. Did have some costly fumbles, despite the fact that he picked up better than 1,700 total yards and was not as effective in his 2 games as a full-time player. Was better coming in as a spot guy. 2nd down and 8. And Holmes, with a change of direction, cannot get going. So Holmes, 84 yards on the ground on 23 carries. That time ran into Bennett and Harrod.
You could feel the impact of Jeff Harrod. Now he's returning to the lineup today for the first time. Got that big brace on his left arm. Same kind of injury that Ted Washington has for the Bills. but he's helping everybody else up their play.
It is a 3rd and 9. Collins' pass underthrown, intended for Quinn Early, who was covered by Eugene Daniel.
Jerry Ostrowski's getting up slow. He's got a bit of an ankle problem. It looks like he may have re-injured that one. This is one where the quarterback tries to throw it so quickly that he never gets a full grip on the ball. Poor throw, but good coverage anyway.
And Todd Collins in the second half, only 1 of 4 for 2 yards. That has been it. Chris Moore punting to Mark Stock. Mark Stock has been a factor in the second half, able to come up to make the catch, but taken down immediately at the 48-yard line. A 34-yard punt with no return. The ankle, playing on a bad ankle last week, and obviously hurting over at the sideline. The starting right guard and backup center for the Buffalo Bills. This has been a very tough game physically. Also a moment ago, looked like Sam Rogers took a shot. Outside linebacker in his 3rd year out of Colorado. Both teams come in with a host of injuries, and then today the Colts lose Lamont Warren to a sprained ankle. Brian Stadline was hurt. Phil Hansen of the Bills, and there's Warren. Bruce Smith took shots earlier, were forced to leave. First down play. And it's Bruce Smith coming up with his 2nd sack of the day. We're set for another update. Let's check in with Greg Gumbel.
All right, Marvin, this is nothing but good news for Buffalo fans. At Baltimore, Vinny Testaverde, his 3rd touchdown pass of the afternoon. Eric Green gets his first TD as a Raven, and this comes against his former mates. Baltimore, 31-17 over Pittsburgh, 7:40 to play in regulation, Marv.
All right, thank you, Greg. Bruce Smith coming up with that sack. 2 for the day, 13.5 for the season, a loss of 7, 2nd and 17. The draw play, and it does not work. Cliff Gross stopped by Gabe Northern. Northern, the 2nd-round draft pick, the exciting rookie out of LSU.
He's a good one, but I tell you what, they've got to solve the problem of Bruce Smith. They've moved Kip Vickers over to left tackle and taken Jason Matthews out. Vickers didn't have any more luck on the first play, but then they ran the draw. You've got to run the draw, the quick trap, and you've got to help the left tackle. Nobody's going to block Bruce Smith today. He's in one of those. He's having one of those days where nobody can touch it.
3rd and 17. Coming up on 6 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. Justin with the long look. It is tipped and incomplete. Looked like Chris Spielman got a piece of it. Pass intended for Mark Stock.
That time they left the running back in there to help on Bruce Smith so they could throw the ball down the field. See Smith right here. He's going to come back inside, though. Watch the running back. He's going to jump back in here to try to help out. That's the only way they're going to have time to throw the ball down the field. The other thing that I think is happening here is that Paul Justin, an inexperienced player, is probably going on the same count too much, and Smith seems to be timing it up because he is really coming off the ball.
And for the moment, Bruce Smith leading the NFL with 13.5 sacks. Flags are thrown. Alfred Williams of Denver coming in the leader with 13. They play later on against Seattle. So another superb day for Bruce Smith.
Trev Alberts is claiming that the Bills jumped off sides and were in the neutral zone when he made contact.
Encroachment foul, number 87, defense. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
That's Robert Coons, the backup tight end.
And Trev Alberts is playing the left guard spot on this punt team. And when Coons moved into the neutral zone, had Trev Alberts not moved immediately, they would have called it on Trev Alberts. But he reacted quickly, and they call that on the defense.
Jeff Burris with the fair catch. 43-yard punt. 5:49 remaining in this fourth quarter, and again a flag is down.
It looked like Trev Alberts was tackled in the open field. Now, if that happened before the ball, well, obviously couldn't have happened before the ball was punted.
Holding number 87, receiving team during the return, half the distance to the goal, first down.
It's during the return or after the punt. Therefore, the ball's going to change possession, and it is Coons again. 2 penalties in a row for him, and he ought to be upset. Marv Levy's upset with him, I can tell you that. You see him right here making the takedown. A little bit tangled up in there. He may have claimed that he was an innocent bystander to that one.
Well, it puts it back to the 6-yard line. Buffalo Bills not able to get anything going in the second half. The game is tied at 10. Buffalo can clinch a playoff spot if they can win today, and later on Houston and Miami lose, or a tie would do it. And Collins' pass to the outside, caught by Holmes, a short pickup. Steve Morrison on the coverage.
And once again, special teams coming into play here with a little over 5 minutes to go in the game. On the last series, they backed him up to the 8-yard line, this time to the 6. No huddle.
Second down and 5. Fourth catch of the day for Derek Holmes. Now Holmes on the draw. And battles his way across the 15-yard line. Needs the 16 for the first down. He was met by Jeff Harrod. Houston playing at the Jets later on, and Miami playing at Oakland later. Those are the games that figure into Buffalo and the possibility of clinching a playoff berth. I don't think there's any question about making the playoffs. The Bills more concerned later on regarding that home field advantage.
No question about it. The Bills are 66-14 since 1988 at home. They don't lose often there.
On the 3rd and 1, Collins driving ahead. Buffalo Bills claiming they have the first down. No official indication.
They've been playing on this end of the field this entire fourth quarter, starting at the 8 twice and the 6-yard line.
And it looks like John Fina just hobbled off the field to the Buffalo sideline, and he's hurting. Fina came in with a turf toe, sat out last week. He's been replaced by Corey Lucci, backup tackle.
John Fina's their franchise player. Just short. Backed up. I don't think they can afford to go for it. They're going to have to punt that ball out of there. This would cost them the ball game if they didn't make it.
And the crowd responds with the Bills punting unit checking in. Chris Moore back inside the 5-yard line.
But from the standpoint of the Colts, what a game effort for them. They were not supposed to be in this game like this today.
7th punt for Moore. Stuck is back, waiting at the 40. And it's a good one. Getting the hang time and the fair catch by Stuck. 49-yard punt. So we're down to 4.5 remaining. In this fourth quarter, the game tied at 10. A look at the upcoming schedule for the Buffalo Bills. 2 more on the road at Seattle, then at Miami, and they'll finish up at home against Kansas City. That is the remaining schedule. And for the Indianapolis Colts, they have a Thursday night game here against the Eagles, making it a very difficult week. They finish at Kansas City and at Cincinnati. So that's a tough schedule for the Colts.
Really for both of them. You know, the Bills have 3 of their last 4 games on the road, which means they play a lot at home early. Gives them a fast start in the season.
The Indianapolis Colts from their 37-yard line, and Falk tried to make the turn, but could not. He's taken down for a loss. Spielman involved along with White. Let's check it again with Greg Gumbel.
Marv, will it ever end for the New York Jets? Neil O'Donnell out since the 6th of October with a separated shoulder, due to start today. Pulled a right calf muscle in pregame warm-ups. He is out for today. Frank Reich will start against the Houston Oilers. Marv?
Thank you, Greg. I tell you, when players are getting hurt in the pregame warm-ups, you know there are major problems. Well, we know that about the Jets.
We know that about that team for sure right now, but that is, you hate to see that one.
Second down and 12, and again it's Falk, who has had another very rough afternoon. 21 carries, only 47 yards for Marshall Falk, who looked so sharp. Right at the start, he had a couple of bursts, able to accelerate, did it as a receiver on the ground, and that was it. In the first quarter, he was getting the job done, and then I don't know if it's adjustments or just one of those things where perhaps he is bothered by the injury once again.
Well, you know what? I think it's Bruce Smith. They can't run to the left. They can't get any protection over there, so the defense knows where they're going to run. That's where they stop. That's where they're stopping Marshall Falk.
3rd and 9, and Justin's pass caught by Falk. And Falk able to slash his way for the first down. Spielman on the tackle.
Now, for this drive to be successful, the Colts have to keep changing up their attack. They've got to run the ball a little bit, but they've got to be able to throw the ball quick, throw the screens, the quick traps or the draws to counter Bruce Smith. Bruce Smith is the big obstacle right now. All these other good complements to that defense that the Bills are putting on the field are having it easy because everybody on the Colts side of the ball is trying to stay away from Smith. Watch Vickers. He goes down to try to cut him. You can't cut Bruce Smith. Forget it. It will not happen.
For Falk, his 8th catch, 8 receptions, 65 yards, and a first down for the Colts. Gross stopped by Smith, and Cliff Gross is hearing the boos from the crowd.
I think I just mentioned you can't run to the left because of Bruce Smith. They ran to the left and lost a yard because of Bruce Smith. He is a dominating player. That's not any knock on the Colts. You just got a superior football player, and Vickers, Matthews earlier, have not been able to handle him, and Gross isn't going to handle him one-on-one with the ball under his arm either.
Well, 2 minutes to go in the 4th quarter, so we get the warning. The game tied at 10. We'll be back in a moment.
And the little dragon looked up to the moon.
This head coach Lindy Infante, his 3rd tenure as a head coach in the pros, took over the Colts from Ted Marchibroda. He was offensive coordinator last season here. One-time head coach at Green Bay, won Coach of the Year honors back in 1989. Also a head coach in the USFL at Jacksonville in the mid-'80s. And as I mentioned earlier, he was an 11th round draft pick of the Buffalo Bills in the old AFL back in 1963. 2nd and 9 at midfield, 2 minutes left in the 4th quarter, and the Bills and the Colts are tied at 10. Off the fake, Justin throwing deep, a rare deep throw, and it is incomplete, intended for Harrison.
It looked like Harrison stopped on the play. He was a good 30 yards down the field, and he geared down. Sometimes a receiver all the way across the field like that will look back, and he can't find the quarterback, and he just, human nature kicks in, I guess. You gear down and watch. If he gets the outside release, he's running against Jeff Burris straight up the field. See him kind of gear down as he looked back. The ball is thrown pretty well. The ball lands about where it should land. Couldn't get there because of the slowed-up pattern that he ran.
And the numbers on Paul Justin, 16 of 34, 162 yards. In his 2nd NFL start, playing for the injured Jim Harbaugh. Justin able to complete, but looks to be short of the first down. Aaron Bailey made the spin, but could not pick up the additional yardage against the combination of Ken Irvin and Marlon Turner, and it is spotted a couple of yards short of a first down.
Well, the offensive line did a great job on this one, especially the left side that's been having so much trouble. They're going to punt the football right here. Inside 2 minutes, in plus territory. If you don't make it, you could be giving the game away.
Some boos from the crowd. It's a 4th and about 2. And Gardocki comes on for the 8th time. Now, Lindy Infante was telling us yesterday he does have Jim Harbaugh as the 3rd quarterback, the emergency quarterback. He said it would take some unusual circumstance. Oh! It was knocked down by Mark Stock. Able to down it at about the 5, a 40-yard punt, and this guy has made a difference.
I'm going to nominate him for Special Teams Player of the Week. at least, maybe for a lifetime. This is an unbelievable afternoon for one football player. He sees everything coming. The fair catch was called to try to decoy this. Almost overplays it. Just make sure it doesn't get in the end zone. You know, one of the dangers, if he goes into the end zone and comes back out, or if he catches the ball and falls into the end zone, it would be a touchback. He did a great job of making sure that ball stayed well outside. Big afternoon for Mark Stock.
So the Buffalo Bills with 58 seconds remaining.
Now, this is 4 times now they have been inside the 8-yard line in the fourth quarter.
Starting from the 6 with Todd Collins, who has not been able to get anything going in the second half. To the ground, Holmes moves out to the 10-yard line. Collins in the second half just 2 of 5 for 6 yards. And that's been it. Timeout called with 50 seconds remaining in the fourth.
Indianapolis, 30 seconds.
So the Colts call for time. Coming up next on most of these NBC stations, game 2 of our Twin Bill. Most of you will see the Dolphins and the Raiders. Others will see the Broncos take on the Seahawks or the Oilers and the Jets. That's coming up next year on NBC. And as you saw a moment ago, Greg Gumbel providing us with a highlight. Neil O'Donnell of the Jets, who came off an injury, re-aggravating it in the warm-ups. And he is out, so the one-time Buffalo Bill, Frank Reich, is back as the starting quarterback. Is Jim Kelly today, who is in the role of the emergency quarterback. Alex Van Pelt is number 2. And we mentioned a moment ago, Jim Harbaugh is the emergency quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts.
And by rule now, if Harbaugh were to come in and things not go right, they could make a change and put the other quarterback back in there, or put another quarterback back in.
2nd and 6 from the 10-yard line. And Derek Holmes is stopped at the line by Tony McCoy.
Immediately, the Colts call timeout. They have the field position right now with only 44 seconds left. They're playing the percentage that if the first down is not made, they're going to have field position, a couple of quick passes, and they have a field goal try at the end.
So the Colts with 1 timeout remaining, and the Bills with 2.
The reason you call timeout on 1st and 2nd down is you're assuming that on 3rd down and 5 or 6, that there's a good chance they'll throw the ball. Incomplete, that stops the clock as well. If they run the ball and don't make a first down, you'll see the Colts call an immediate timeout and try to play offensively with no timeouts. Blanchard, of course, would have to be the guy to come in and be the hero.
And he has not had one of his better days, having a terrific season coming into today, 29 of 31, but missed his first 2. One was blocked, deflected by Bruce Smith, and then he was able to hit to tie the game at 10. 3rd down play, 3rd and 6 at the 10. 44 seconds to go in regulation. Well, that's the draw play attempted and did not work. And Holmes taken down for a loss by Ellis Johnson. Backup defensive lineman in his 2nd year out of Florida. He's played well and played particularly well in the 2 games against Buffalo last season. A #1 draft pick a year ago.
Richard Dent causing part of the problem, finished off by Ellis Johnson. Buffalo deciding they weren't going to take any chances, put it in the air. They were going to run the football, force the final timeout in doing so. As you can see, that's a team defense. There was nowhere to go. Buffalo is now going all the way to the sideline. They're going to talk this one over because this is just the situation where you go after the punt. He's backed up. Very little time left, and there will be no timeouts remaining for the Colts when they get the ball.
36 seconds left, 4th quarter, and here is Mark Stock.
Remember, though, Mark, the clock will stop on change of possession, so after this play, the clock's going to stop. But after that, only an out-of-bounds play will do it, or an incomplete pass.
And you can see how deep in his own end zone Chris Moore is, right at the back line.
Well, I put somebody right on that center, and they go a quick snap to make sure nobody hits the center and causes a bad snap.
All right, Stock on the return and hit down immediately, and a flag comes flying. Beautiful punt, a 50-yarder. Ken Irvin with the coverage, getting downfield in a hurry.
With the penalty, though, the Colts are not going to have the field position they wanted. 28 seconds left, no timeouts. We could be looking right at overtime.
Buffalo Bills have already been involved in 2 overtimes this season. A win over the Giants, and the earlier meeting, 16-13 over the Colts.
Mark Stock got up a little bit gimpy on that one. He's played such a fine football game, been a factor in it all the way. Limped off after being hit quick.
Number 40, receiving team on the return. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's Ray McElroy. Again, special teams, everybody in the open field. You're trying to make a quick hit. If you lose the angle, or if the person you're trying to block takes one step the wrong way, you end up out of position, and the penalties are committed. It's a tough one. I tell you, that's a hard one to even change the rule on, because you still have to have the rule to make sure it's a square deal on both sides of the ball.
All right, Sam, how do you play this now with 28 seconds to go?
Well, I think you take a shot well down the field. You don't want to have anything happen backed up. If something happens, make it happen down the field so the field goal is not. Bruce Smith coming in. There's the guys giving him problems.
And Justin is able to complete. Marshall Faulk out across the 35-yard line. No timeouts remaining, so the clock is running. You see it running down to 10 seconds, and they're going to run it out.
Yeah, they just decided to go into overtime. The only chance was to go deep down the field, try to get a big chunk of yardage in one snap. Anything short like that, you're not going to get enough done, even if you got another snap off. So they decided to go into overtime. That's their choice. They feel like they can beat the Bills that way.
So at the end of regulation, the game tied at 10. And we'll stay for the coin flip.
And the fans don't like that, because they like to see a big play, the Hail Mary or something down the field with all the drama that comes with it. But the smart play is go with a high percentage. You've got a young quarterback in there. Don't put the pressure on him to make a spectacular play at the end.
Second overtime of the season for the Colts. The previous one was the game against the Bills, and a franchise record 3 coming up, third overtime this season for Buffalo.
Football. What do you want?
Buffalo won the toss.
Buffalo won, will receive.
So the Bills will receive. And with a tie score here in Indianapolis, headed to overtime. We'll be back with the OT after these messages from your local station. 3 of 44, 309 yards, and the Bills with 6 sacks. But a different story today. The Bills have accounted for 283 yards overall, but 95 came on one play, 47 on another. And Kerry Blanchard has been a factor, but from a negative point of view today, he's missed 2, which is most unusual.
For him this year, it certainly is. And, you know, Marv Levy was talking about how he approached this ball game, that no one game was more important than another. He didn't stress a must-wins kind of thing. That's their approach. Everything is steady as you go. But he did remind them that we're going in here against a team that it took to overtime to win. And here it is again. He was, his approach was right. And now let's see if the strategy of staying on that even keel pays off in overtime.
Chris Gardocki kicking to Eric Moulds and Russell Copeland. And here's Moulds, who has blazing speed. Out to the 20-yard line, cannot find the opening. And taken down at the 24 by Chris Hetherington. So the Bills will start out right there. 25-yard kick return by the rookie from Mississippi State, Eric Moulds. And here comes Todd Collins with the offense.
Boy, in crucial situations as a coach, I always hated to see a rookie with the ball in his hand, because they tend to make more mistakes. When I played for George Allen, he used to say, for every rookie you had, you lost one football game. And well, I don't know if that averaged out that way, but I know as a coach, I always worried about it more.
The Bills start out from just inside the 25-yard line. Play fake by Collins. And incomplete. Tony Klein tried to extend to make the catch, but could not. He was covered by the linebacker, Trev Alberts.
Jason Belcher's behind him, Trev Alberts, and underneath him. But Trev Alberts really wasn't there, and that's his zone. It's a little token fake. He bit for a second. He didn't quite get back there. That was just a drop pass.
And again, the Bills in the no huddle. Andre Reed has been very quiet. Flank to the right. Collins to the other side. Again, the tight end. He has Tony Klein. Covered by Ray McElroy. And it is a first down for Buffalo.
They were looking for the slant by the wide receivers, and they tried to double both wide receivers. Eugene Daniel, though, came down too far inside and left the flat open. Big gain for the Buffalo Bills.
First catch of the day by Klein. And a first down at the 40. Holmes out to the 45-yard line. We're just underway in overtime. 40 seconds gone by. The game is tied at 10. Marv Levy and the Bills involved in their third overtime of the season. They beat the Giants in their opening game, beat the Colts back in early October in overtime. And you can see the changes being made at the line by Collins. Holmes short of the first down by about 2 yards, met by Steve Morrison.
The Buffalo Bills are in a kind of a modified no huddle. They're just going back long enough to get the play because of the crowd noise, but the Colts are unable to huddle up. They're looking to the sideline, getting the signal from their defensive coach, no huddle for the defense because they're coming out too quick.
Third at about 1.5 yards. Holmes and the rookie Bratton in the backfield. Oh, good second effort by Holmes, but he could not move forward. He was stopped by Tony Bennett.
Big play there for the Colts. Big decision for Marv Levy right here. He's not going to chance it at the 50-yard line. Going to put that ball down. Remember, overtime is a full quarter. There's 13 minutes left. You're not playing against the clock anymore.
The crowd responding to the defensive stop by the Colts. And Chris Moore on to punt from his 35-yard line. Busy day for Chris, his 9th punt of the afternoon, and he will punt to Mark Stock, who is at the 10. And Stock with a circular route to make that catch, and then is hit immediately by Ken Irvin, a 35-yard punt by Moore. So the Colts, with Paul Justin at quarterback, will get the ball back.
That was a good play because of the result by Stock, but not a smart play right there. He had a defender coming from his flank. Very easily could have turned that ball over, and after such a fine afternoon, might have been the GOAT. But he held on to it. The result was good, but he's got to not take a chance now. He's got to play smarter football in this overtime period.
Indianapolis from its 15-yard line. 2.5 gone by in overtime. The lone deep back is Marshall Faulk. And Justin stepping up. And the catch made by Faulk for the first down. Bumped out by the strong safety, Matt Stevens. It's a 13-yard advance.
Because of the speed of Marshall Faulk, there's a mismatch out there. Even though he's lined up wide to the right side, out of the screen right here. But the protection is good, especially right here. That's Bruce Smith on the left side that's been giving the Colts so much trouble all afternoon. The last 2 or 3 plays, they've been able to contain him.
That's a career-high 13th reception, or rather 10th reception for Marshall Faulk. And down goes Justin, taken down by Ted Washington.
Boy, it's tough to set up on a down-the-field throw, having to let things develop. When you got guys like Ted Washington and Smith, Hansen playing so well in the pass rush, the quicker throws probably would serve them better right here. But They just hit a big one down the field. They went back and tried it again. Now they find themselves in a bit of a hole. Ben Washington, remember, playing with that bad elbow, and you really can't even tell. He's just playing hard.
2nd and 18. Off the pump. Again, the completion, but well short of the first down. Sean Dawkins with the catch, and Mark Maddox with the hit to put Dawkins down. 3rd catch of the day by Dawkins.
Well, I'll tell you what, this offensive line, he's had trouble during the day, especially trying to contain Bruce Smith on the left side. Now you see they assigned 2 offensive linemen to him. They are doing a job here in the overtime. That is 3 plays in a row that the quarterback held the ball a long time. 2 of the 3 are big completions.
So a 3rd and 5. Justin again for Dawkins, but he is stopped right at the marker. We'll have to see where they spotted Thomas Smith, the right corner, with the tackle. The Buffalo Bills setting their punt return team out of the field. And now the indication it is a first down. First down picked up by Dawkins and the Colts.
And it looked like he had it, and it was a good spot. That wasn't a generous one. The ball was, it was a slant play to the inside, a quickly thrown ball, knowing the pass rush was going to be coming hard on 3rd down, right in the body. You don't lead a receiver coming across the middle. You throw into his body so that he can protect the ball on the catch. You see the numbers on the sideline there. These numbers are 12 yards from the out-of-bounds marker. And when you get a receiver lining up real wide like that, more than 6 yards outside those numbers, you're looking for the inside throw. That's what they got just then.
9:45 left in overtime. Justin throwing deep downfield and able to complete to Aaron Bailey. A big play for the Colts. Scholes and Stevens on the tackle. It's good for 28 and a first down.
Beautiful catch by Bailey, because you don't know when you go for that ball if somebody's coming from nowhere to hit you. A better play, though, by Paul Justin in the clutch of a ball game against a tremendous defense. He's standing in there and rifling the ball right down the field. And Justin, remember, is a guy that has been hit all afternoon. It hadn't bothered him. He told us yesterday he wasn't going to try to step out of bounds or avoid contact. He was going to go out here and just take it.
It is a first down at the Buffalo 33-yard line. And the fullback, Cliff Gross, got the call, met by Gabe Northern.
Now you're in that dangerous area right now. If you don't make many more yards, you almost have to take the field goal. But if you miss, then you leave the Buffalo Bills with good field position. Gardocki 4 for 4 going into this game from 50 yards or more. Blanchard is 4 for 4 going in with 50 yards or more. So he would be right at that 50-yard field goal range right now.
Blanchard today has missed from 33 and 41. He hit from 25. 2nd and 8. Falk saw that opening for just an instant and then was taken down by the combination of Hansen and Spielman.
Boy, from up here, you were seeing what I was seeing. It looked like he was going to pop right through there. Earlier in the ball game, Marv, I think he would have done it because the explosion was there earlier in the game that we don't see right now. And what happens is the wear and tear on a ligament or that toe that is bothering him, even though you've got a little steel plate in there to try to keep the movement to a minimum, it starts to wear and you can't push off on it like he was early in the game.
Well, this would be a 47-yard field goal attempt from right here. It's a third down and 6 at the 29-yard line. Out of the shotgun. The handoff to Falk. And it is looking to pick up a couple more to set up the field goal, and the Colts are disappointed. Sean Moran with the quick move to cut off Marshall Falk, and they're sending on Kerry Blanchard, who, as you mentioned, 4 of 4 from 50 plus. However, today he's missed 2. One was deflected, and he missed from 33. He's looking to wrap it right here. And this is a 49-yard attempt for the game. Gardocki will hold. The angle is to the left. The high snap. The kick by Blanchard is good. Oh! Blanchard from 49 yards away to beat the Buffalo Bills in overtime. So with 6:46 to go in the OT, the Indianapolis Colts returned the favor earlier this season. The Buffalo Bills beat the Indianapolis Colts in overtime. So that's the end of the 4-game win streak by Buffalo. They dropped to 9-4, while the Colts still alive at 7-6. 8:14 into overtime. The game winner by Kerry Blanchard.